My beloved child, I want you to pause for a moment and listen carefully. There is a reason you are here right now. There is a reason these words have found you in this exact moment of your life. I have something I want you to open, something that has been waiting patiently for you, something far more valuable than anything this world could place in your hands. Before you rush ahead, before you dismiss this as just another message, I want you to understand that what I am about to reveal carries an answer to a question your heart has been asking for longer than you realize. I see the weight you have been carrying. I see the thoughts that visit you when the room is quiet and no one else is around. I see the worries you hide behind your smile and the questions you keep locked away where nobody can reach them. You have tried to be strong. You have tried to keep moving forward even when your spirit felt tired. Yet deep within you, there remains a longing, a hope that there must be something more than the struggles, disappointments, and uncertainties that have surrounded you. My child, what if I told you that there is something waiting for you that could change the way you see everything? What if I told you that the very thing you have been searching for is much closer than you think? Many people spend their lives looking in distant places for answers. They search through achievements, possessions, relationships, and endless distractions, hoping to find peace. Yet all along, they overlook the gift that has been placed directly before them. Imagine a child receiving a beautifully wrapped package from a loving father. Day after day, the package sits untouched. The child wonders if there is anything valuable inside, yet never gathers the courage to open it. Meanwhile, the treasure remains hidden, not because it was unavailable, but because it was unopened. My beloved child, I do not want that to be your story. There are moments in life when a single decision changes everything. A single step, a single act of trust, a single willingness to open what hath been waiting. Today is one of those moments. I am not asking you to carry a heavier burden. I am not asking you to prove yourself worthy. I am not asking you to have all the answers. I am simply asking you to open what I have lovingly prepared for you. You may not fully understand why this feels important. You may not yet see what lies ahead. But I do. I see the road behind you, and I see the path before you. I know every tear you have cried, every battle you have fought, and every dream you still carry within your heart. Nothing about your story is hidden from me. So stay with me, my child. Do not turn away now. What I want you to open is not filled with judgment, fear, or disappointment. It contains something your soul has been longing to receive. And as we begin this journey together, you will discover that what has been waiting for you all this time may be exactly what you need most. My beloved child, before you open what I have prepared for you, there is something I need you to know. I have seen every silent battle you have fought. Not some of them. Not most of them. Every single one. I have seen the moments when you smiled in front of others while carrying a storm inside. I have seen the nights when sleep would not come because your mind was crowded with worries. I have heard the prayers you spoke aloud, and I have also heard the ones that never left your lips. The cries of your heart have never been hidden from me. There have been days when you wondered if anyone truly understood what you were carrying. People may have seen your actions, but they did not see the weight behind them. They did not see how hard you fought just to keep moving forward. They did not see the courage it took to get out of bed when your spirit felt weary. They did not see the strength it took to keep believing when circumstances gave you reasons to doubt. But I saw it all. I saw you trying to hold everything together when life felt like it was falling apart. I saw you replaying old conversations, wondering if you could have done something differently. I saw you questioning yourself, questioning your future, and sometimes even questioning whether things would ever change. My child, I was there through every moment, There were times when disappointment knocked on your door again and again. Just when you thought something good was about to happen, another setback appeared. Just when hope began to rise, another obstacle seemed to stand in your way. You began to wonder whether you were meant to carry these burdens forever. Yet even in those moments, I never left your side. When you felt abandoned, I was near. When you felt confused, I was watching over you. When you felt weak, I was carrying more of the weight than you realize. Even when you could not sense my presence, my hand remained upon your life. My beloved child, one of the greatest lies that fear tries to tell you is that you are alone. Fear wants you to believe that nobody sees your struggles and nobody understands your pain. It wants you to think that your battles are yours alone to fight. But that has never been the truth. Think about a traveler walking through a thick fog. The fog is so dense that the path ahead disappears from view. The traveler begins to panic because he cannot see what is coming next. Yet above the fog, the sun still shines. The path still exists. The destination remains unchanged. The only thing that has changed is what the traveler can see. In the same way, there have been seasons when the fog of uncertainty surrounded you. You could not see where your life was heading. You could not understand why certain doors closed or why certain answers seemed delayed. But my child, just because you could not see the path did not mean I had lost sight of it. I know every detail of your story. I know the chapters that made you laugh and the chapters that made you cry. I know the dreams you have shared with no one. I know the wounds you tried to hide. I know the questions that still remain unanswered in your heart. And listen carefully to me now. None of these things have reduced your value in my eyes. Your struggles do not make you less lovable. Your mistakes do not make you less worthy of my care. Your fears do not push me away. In fact, I draw even closer to you in those moments because a loving father does not run from his child when they are hurting. The reason I am asking you to open what I have prepared is because I do not want you to keep carrying burdens that were never meant to define your life. I do not want pain to become your identity. I do not want fear to become your guide. What I am about to show you begins with this simple truth. You have been seen all along. Every tear, every prayer, every struggle, every hope, every moment of endurance has been known by me. And now, my beloved child, because I have seen your battles, I am ready to reveal what has been waiting for you on the other side of them. My beloved child, now that you know I have seen your silent battles, I want to speak to you about something many people carry without even realizing how heavy it has become. I want to talk about the package you have been carrying. Imagine a traveler setting out on a long journey with a small bag resting on their shoulders. At first, the weight seems manageable. They take a few steps, then a few more, believing they can carry it without difficulty. But as the journey continues, items are added to the bag. A disappointment here, a heartbreak there, a failure that was never fully healed, a fear that was never released, a regret that refused to let go. Over time, the bag becomes heavier and heavier until the traveler begins to forget what it feels like to walk freely. My child, in many ways, the traveler is you. You were never created to carry every burden that has been placed upon your heart. Yet little by little, through the experiences of life, you have gathered things that were never meant to stay with you. Some of them came through painful words spoken by others. Some arrived through unexpected losses. Some came through moments when life unfolded differently than you hoped. Others came through disappointments you never saw coming. You learned to keep moving while carrying them. You learned to smile while carrying them. You learned to function while carrying them. But carrying something does not mean it is not affecting you. I see the burden of unanswered questions. questions about your future, questions about why certain things happen, questions about why some prayers seem to take so long to be answered. Those questions have weighed upon your heart more than you realize. I see the burden of disappointment. There were doors you hoped would open. There were relationships you hoped would last. There were dreams you thought would unfold differently. When those expectations were not met, pieces of discouragement quietly settled into your spirit. I see the burden of fear. Fear has a way of disguising itself. Sometimes it appears as worry. Sometimes it appears as hesitation. Sometimes it appears as the belief that something good might not last. Fear whispers that you must prepare for the worst because disappointment may be waiting around the corner. I also see the burden of past mistakes. Even though time has moved forward, there are moments when old memories still try to pull you backward. There are moments when you replay decisions, wishing you could rewrite certain chapters. You wonder what life would look like if you had chosen differently. My beloved child, listen carefully. You were never meant to build your future while dragging the weight of yesterday behind you. Here is a story about a man who carried a large sack of stones wherever he went. Every stone represented something painful he refused to release. One stone represented betrayal. Another represented regret. Another represented anger. Another represented fear. As the years passed, the sack became so heavy that he could barely move forward. One day, he met a wise guide who asked him a simple question. "Why do you continue carrying those stones?" The man replied, "Because they belong to me." The guide gently answered, "They may belong to your story, but they do not belong on your shoulders. My child, many of the burdens you carry belong to your story, but they do not belong on your shoulders forever. The pain you experienced is real, but it is not your identity. The disappointments you endured are real, but they are not your destiny. The fears you wrestle with are real, but they are not the voice you were meant to follow. This is one reason I am asking you to open what I have prepared. Before you can fully receive what is inside, you must begin recognizing the things you have been carrying unnecessarily. Not because I want to remind you of your pain, but because I want to free you from it. You have spent enough time carrying burdens in silence. You have spent enough time believing you must handle everything on your own. You have spent enough time trying to be stronger than your circumstances. My beloved child, I am not inviting you to carry more. I am inviting you to lay something down. As you continue this journey with me, I want you to become aware of every burden that has quietly attached itself to your heart. Not so you can hold it tighter, but so you can prepare to release it. Because what I want you to open cannot fully be received with hands already filled by the weight of fear, regret, and sorrow. Something beautiful is waiting for you. But first, you must understand that freedom begins the moment you stop carrying what was never meant to define your life. My beloved child, now that you have begun to recognize the burdens you have been carrying, I want to gently speak to your heart about something deeper. I want to talk about why you have been hesitant to open what I have placed before you. I know your hesitation. I understand it more than you realize. Many times, when I invite my children into something new, the greatest obstacle is not the closed door before them. It is the fear within them. You may think your hesitation comes from uncertainty, but often it comes from old wounds that have not fully healed. It comes from disappointments that taught you to be cautious. It comes from moments when you trusted and were hurt, believed and were let down, hoped and were discouraged. Little by little, your heart learned to protect itself. Perhaps there was a season when you opened your heart to someone, only to experience rejection. Perhaps you prayed for a certain outcome and watched events unfold differently than you expected. Perhaps you stepped forward in faith once before and encountered challenges that left you questioning whether you wanted to try again. My child, when pain enters a person's life, it often builds invisible walls. Those walls are not created because they no longer desire love, hope, or healing. They are created because they fear experiencing pain again. I see those walls. I see the places where your heart became careful. I see the places where trust became difficult. I see the places where disappointment whispered, "Do not expect too much. Do not hope too much. Do not believe too much." And over time, those whispers began to sound like wisdom. But my beloved child, fear often disguises itself as wisdom. There is a difference between wisdom and fear. Wisdom helps you walk forward with understanding. Fear keeps you standing still. Wisdom opens your eyes. Fear closes your heart. Wisdom prepares you for the future. Fear convinces you to avoid it. Many people spend years guarding doors that I never asked them to guard. They become so focused on protecting themselves from future pain that they unknowingly block future joy as well. Imagine a gardener who experiences one harsh winter. The cold damages part of his garden, and the loss deeply hurts him. When spring arrives, he becomes afraid to plant again. He remembers the disappointment. He remembers the loss. So instead of planting new seeds, he leaves the soil untouched. At first it feels safe. After all, if he plants nothing, nothing can be damaged. But if he plants nothing, nothing can grow. My child, some areas of your heart have become like that garden. Not because you lack faith, not because you lack courage, but because disappointment convinced you that protecting yourself was safer than hoping again. Yet I did not create your heart merely to survive. I created it to live. I created it to receive love, experience peace, embrace purpose, and walk in freedom. That is why I continue inviting you. I do not stand before you with condemnation. I do not point at your fears and criticize them. I know where those fears came from. I know the experiences that shaped them. I know the tears that watered them. I know the nights when you wondered whether opening your heart again would only lead to more pain. And still, I remain patient. I do not force doors open. I knock gently. I wait because love is patient. I wait because healing cannot be rushed. I wait because trust grows one step at a time. My beloved child, what I am asking you to open is not another disappointment. It is not another burden. It is not another test designed to exhaust you. What I am offering carries hope, healing, and restoration. But fear will always try to convince you otherwise. Fear will tell you that nothing will change. Fear will tell you that you have already tried. Fear will tell you that your past predicts your future. Fear will tell you that opening your heart is too risky. Yet I tell you something different. I tell you that your story is not finished. I tell you that healing is still possible. I tell you that joy can return. I tell you that peace can flourish again. I tell you that trust can be rebuilt. And most importantly, I tell you that I have never stopped working in your life. The hesitation you feel does not disqualify you. It simply reveals that there are places within your heart that need reassurance. And that reassurance begins here. You are safe with me. You do not need to pretend you are fearless. You do not need to hide your doubts. You do not need to act stronger than you feel. Simply come as you are. Bring your questions. Bring your concerns. Bring your uncertainty. Bring every wounded piece of your heart. Because as we continue this journey together, you will discover that the hands inviting you to open this gift are the same hands that have been holding you all along. And little by little, The fear that once made you hesitate will begin to lose its power, replaced by something stronger, something gentler, and something far more lasting: trust. My beloved child, you have heard my invitation. You have recognized the burdens you have been carrying. You have begun to understand why fear and hesitation have sometimes stood between you and the things I wanted to give you. Now I want to reveal something that may surprise you. You have spent so much time wondering what is inside this gift, this invitation, this thing I have been asking you to open. Some part of you may have expected correction. Some part of you may have expected another challenge. Some part of you may have wondered whether opening it would reveal something difficult or painful. But my child, what I have prepared for you is not what fear has told you it would be. Inside my invitation, there is no condemnation. There is no list of failures waiting to shame you. There is no record of every mistake you have made. There is no voice waiting to tell you that you are not enough. What I have prepared for you begins with something far greater than all of those things. It begins with love. Not the kind of love that depends on performance. Not the kind of love that appears when you succeed and disappears when you struggle. Not the kind of love that keeps score or measures worthiness. The love I offer remains steady through every season. My beloved child, before you were aware of me, I was aware of you. Before you took your first breath, I knew your name. Before you faced your first challenge, I already understood every victory and every struggle that would become part of your journey. You have never been an accident. You have never been forgotten. You have never been overlooked. Even during seasons when life felt random and chaotic, my eyes remained upon you. That is one of the treasures hidden inside my invitation, the assurance that you are deeply known and deeply loved. Many people spend their entire lives searching for proof that they matter. They chase approval. They seek validation. They work tirelessly to earn acceptance. They believe that if they achieve enough, accomplish enough, or become enough, they will finally feel secure. Yet the security they seek can never be fully found in the opinions of others. The security your soul longs for comes from knowing that your value was established long before anyone else's opinion entered your life. Imagine a precious jewel hidden beneath layers of dirt. Years may pass before someone discovers it. The dirt may cover its beauty, but it cannot remove its worth. The jewel remains valuable even when nobody sees it. My child, there have been moments when pain, disappointment, and fear covered parts of your heart like layers of dust. Yet none of those things changed your value. The treasure remained. Your worth remained. Your purpose remained. My love for you remained. And that love is not passive. It is active. It is present. It is moving even now in ways you cannot fully see. Perhaps there have been moments when you believed I was distant because circumstances became difficult. Perhaps you assumed my silence meant my absence. But my beloved child, silence and absence are not the same thing. A gardener may seem inactive while seeds rest beneath the soil, yet important work is happening where human eyes cannot see it. In the same way, there have been seasons when you could not see my hand moving. Yet I was still protecting, guiding, preparing, and working within your story. That is another treasure hidden inside my invitation: hope. Not fragile hope based on perfect circumstances. Not temporary hope dependent on everything going according to plan. But enduring hope rooted in the truth that your life remains in my hands. There is also peace waiting for you. Not because every problem has disappeared, not because every question has been answered, but because my presence remains greater than every challenge you face. My beloved child, what I am asking you to open is not a burden. It is not a punishment. It is not a reminder of your shortcomings. It is an invitation into a deeper understanding of who I am and who you are. It is an invitation to stop measuring yourself by your failures and begin seeing yourself through my eyes. It is an invitation to exchange fear for trust, to exchange uncertainty for hope, to exchange weariness for renewed strength. The treasures waiting inside are not reserved for perfect people. They are prepared for my children, and you, my beloved child, are one of them. As you continue opening what I have prepared, you will discover that every layer reveals something your heart has needed all along. Not judgment, but grace. Not rejection, but acceptance. Not despair, but hope. And this is only the beginning of what I want to show you. My beloved child, now that you have begun to understand what is waiting inside my invitation, I want to tell you a story. It is a simple story, but hidden within it is a truth that may help you understand why I keep asking you to open what I have prepared for you. There was once a young child who lived in a beautiful home with a loving father. The father cared deeply for the child and desired nothing more than to see the child flourish, grow, and discover the wonderful things prepared for them. One day, the father led the child down a long hallway to a door that had remained closed for many years. The door was old, but carefully maintained. It stood quietly at the end of the corridor, waiting. The child looked at the door with curiosity. "What is inside?" the child asked. The father smiled and replied, "Something I prepared for you long ago." The child stepped closer, but then hesitation appeared. "What if there is something frightening inside?" the child asked. "There is not," the father replied gently. "What if I am not ready to see it?" "You are." "What if I open it and I am disappointed?" The father smiled again. "My child, I would never lead you to something meant to harm you." Yet despite the father's reassurance, the child remained uncertain. Days passed, then weeks, then months. Every time they walked past the door, curiosity grew stronger, but so did fear. The child imagined all sorts of possibilities. Perhaps the room was empty. Perhaps the room contained something difficult. Perhaps the father expected something impossible. The child became so focused on imagining what might be behind the door that they never discovered what was actually there. One day, after many years had passed, the father once again invited the child to the hallway. Together they stood before the door. This time, the father gently placed his hand on the child's shoulder and said, "You have spent many years wondering what is behind this door. You have spent many years fearing what might be there. But fear has only given you questions. It has never given you answers." The child stood silently, and the father continued, "The only way to discover what I have prepared is to trust me enough to open it." With trembling hands, the child reached for the handle. The door slowly opened. What the child found was not darkness. It was not disappointment. It was not rejection. The room was filled with treasures the father had lovingly prepared throughout the years. There were gifts, reminders of cherished memories, letters filled with encouragement, and beautiful things designed specifically for the child. Everything inside reflected the father's love. As tears filled the child's eyes, one question rose within their heart. "Why didn't I open this sooner?" The father answered softly, "You believed your fears more than you believed my love." My beloved child, that story is not really about a hallway or a room. It is about the human heart. Many of my children stand before doors I have placed in their lives. Doors leading toward healing. Doors leading toward peace. Doors leading toward purpose. Doors leading toward freedom. Yet they hesitate. Not because the treasures are absent. Not because the invitation is unclear. but because fear convinces them to imagine the worst. Fear paints pictures that do not exist. Fear creates stories that are not true. Fear magnifies uncertainty until it feels larger than my promises. And while fear is busy speaking, the treasures remain unopened. Perhaps you have stood before such a door. Perhaps it was the door of forgiveness. Perhaps it was the door of trusting me again after disappointment. Perhaps it was the door of believing that your future could be better than your past. Perhaps it was the door of accepting that you are truly loved. Whatever door stands before you, I want you to hear my heart today. I am not leading you toward emptiness. I am not leading you toward harm. I am not inviting you into disappointment. The same love that has carried you through difficult seasons is the love waiting on the other side of the door. My beloved child, there are treasures I have been preparing within your journey that you cannot fully see while standing outside in fear. There is healing waiting beyond hesitation. There is peace waiting beyond worry. There is freedom waiting beyond old wounds. There is hope waiting beyond uncertainty. You do not have to understand every detail before taking a step forward. The child in the story did not know exactly what was inside the room. What allowed the door to open was not complete understanding. It was trust. And that is what I am gently building within your heart. Not pressure, not fear, not obligation. Trust. Because when trust grows stronger than fear, doors begin to open. And when those doors open, you often discover that what awaited you was far more beautiful than anything your fears ever imagined. So do not be afraid, my beloved child. The door before you is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a greater revelation of my love, my goodness, and the beautiful things I have prepared for you all along. My beloved child, there is something I want you to understand about the way I work in your life. Many people expect me to arrive with thunder. They expect dramatic signs, unmistakable displays of power, and answers delivered all at once. Yet more often than they realize, I come in ways that are gentle, quiet, and easy to overlook. I have been knocking gently on the door of your heart for far longer than you know. Not with force, not with pressure, not with demands, but with love. There have been moments when you thought a sudden feeling of peace was merely coincidence. There have been moments when an encouraging word arrived at exactly the right time. There have been moments when a burden seemed lighter for reasons you could not explain. There have been moments when a small spark of hope appeared in the middle of discouragement. My child, many of those moments were my gentle knock. I have never stopped reaching toward you. Even during seasons when you felt distant from me, I remained close. Even during moments when your attention was focused on 100 different concerns, my attention remained focused on you. My love does not disappear when you become distracted. My care does not diminish when life becomes complicated. I continue knocking. Think about a loving father standing outside the room of a sleeping child. He does not break down the door. He does not shout in anger. He gently calls the child's name because his desire is not to frighten them. His desire is to awaken them. In the same way, I have been gently calling to your heart. Sometimes through a sunrise that reminded you beauty still exists. Sometimes through a conversation that gave you unexpected strength. Sometimes through a message that arrived when you needed encouragement. Sometimes through a deep inner feeling that whispered, "Do not give up." My beloved child, those moments matter more than you realize. Many people miss my voice because they are looking only for extraordinary events. They overlook the small reminders, the quiet reassurances, the subtle moments of grace scattered throughout their days. But I am present in those moments too. I am present in the strength you received when you thought you had reached your limit. I am present in the courage that rose within you when fear tried to take control. I am present in the peace that appeared without explanation. I am present in the hope that refused to die even when circumstances seemed difficult. You may not always recognize my fingerprints, but they are there. There is a story about a man who lived near a river. Every morning before sunrise, he would walk along the riverbank hoping to hear a rare bird whose song was known throughout the land. Day after day he listened, but he never heard it. Years passed. Then one morning, an elderly traveler asked him, "What are you listening for?" The man described the beautiful song of the rare bird. The traveler smiled and said, "My friend, the bird had been singing every morning, but you have been listening only for loud sounds. Its song is gentle." The next morning, the man became still. He quieted his thoughts and paid closer attention. And there it was, the song had been present all along. My beloved child, there are times when my voice is like that gentle song. Not because I am weak, not because I am distant, but because love often speaks softly. Fear shouts, anxiety rushes, doubt argues, but love whispers. That is why I continue knocking instead of forcing the door open. Love invites. Love waits. Love gives space for trust to grow. I know there have been moments when you wished I would simply reveal everything at once. You wanted immediate answers. You wanted complete clarity. You wanted every uncertainty removed. Yet if I revealed every detail of your journey all at once, you would miss the beauty of walking with me day by day. Trust is built in relationship, and relationship grows through daily moments of connection. That is why I have been knocking gently. Every reminder that you are loved is a knock. Every unexpected blessing is a knock. Every moment of peace is a knock. Every spark of hope is a knock. Every time your heart feels drawn toward something greater than fear, I am knocking. And my beloved child, I have never become impatient. I have never stood at the door and decided you were taking too long. I have never looked at your struggles and walked away. My love remains steady. My invitation remains open. My presence remains near. Even now, as you listen to these words, I am knocking once again. Not because I need access to your heart, but because I desire deeper closeness with you. I desire for you to discover that the peace, healing, strength, and hope you seek are found not merely in answers, but in my presence. So when you notice those quiet moments of comfort, do not dismiss them. When hope rises unexpectedly, do not ignore it. When peace touches your heart, pause and receive it. For often, my beloved child, the gentle knock you almost overlooked is actually the sound of my love reaching for you once again. My beloved child, as you continue opening what I have prepared for you, there is a burden I want to remove from your heart. It is a burden many of my children carry without realizing how deeply it affects them. It is the belief that something about them disqualifies them from receiving my love, my peace, my guidance, or my blessings. Somewhere along the journey, many people begin to believe that they must earn what I freely give. They start measuring themselves by their mistakes. They compare their weaknesses to the strengths of others. They focus on the chapters of their story they wish they could rewrite. And little by little, they begin to wonder whether they are worthy of the things I have prepared for them. My beloved child, I want you to hear me clearly today. What you think disqualifies you does not. The mistakes you regret do not disqualify you. The failures you remember do not disqualify you. The fears you struggle with do not disqualify you. The questions you still carry do not disqualify you. Even the seasons when you felt distant from me do not disqualify you. You may have convinced yourself that you need to become stronger before coming closer to me. You may have believed that you need to fix every flaw before opening your heart fully. You may have thought that once you finally become good enough, disciplined enough, or worthy enough, then you will be ready to receive what I have prepared. But my child, if my love depended on your perfection, no one could receive it. I do not love you because you have done everything right. I love you because you are my child. Think about a loving father whose young child is learning to walk. The child takes a few steps and then falls. They stand up again, take another step, and stumble once more. Does the father stop loving the child because they fell? Does he turn away because their steps were imperfect? Of course not. The father smiles, reaches out his hand, and encourages the child to keep moving forward. In the same way, I do not define you by the moments when you stumbled. I see the whole journey. I see the effort. I see the growth. I see the courage it takes to keep moving even after disappointment. Yet many of my children spend years carrying unnecessary shame. Shame is different from wisdom. Wisdom helps you learn from the past. Shame tries to chain you to it. Wisdom points toward growth. Shame points toward condemnation. Wisdom says, you learned something. Shame says, you are something. And that is where shame deceives. It tries to transform experiences into identities. A mistake becomes I am a failure. A rejection becomes I am unwanted. A setback becomes I am incapable. A wound becomes I am broken. But my beloved child, those labels were never spoken by me. When I look at you, I do not see a list of failures. I see someone who has survived difficult seasons. I see someone who has continued walking through uncertainty. I see someone whose heart still longs for hope despite disappointments. I see someone deeply loved. There is a story about an artist who spent months creating a beautiful painting. One day, a stain accidentally appeared on the canvas. The artist's assistant became upset and suggested throwing the painting away. But the artist smiled. With careful attention, he transformed the stained area into part of the masterpiece itself. The assistant was amazed. What seemed ruined became beautiful, he said. The artist replied, the stain was never greater than my ability to create. My beloved child, some of you have been staring at the stains in your story for far too long. You see the failures. You see the disappointments. You see the wounds. But I see the masterpiece I am still creating. Nothing in your past is greater than my ability to restore. Nothing in your history is stronger than my power to heal. Nothing in your life has placed you beyond the reach of my love. The invitation I am asking you to open was never reserved for perfect people. It was prepared for real people. People who have struggled. People who have questions. People who have experienced pain. People who need hope. That means it was prepared for you. So lay down the burden of believing you must qualify for my love. Lay down the burden of trying to earn what has already been offered. Lay down the burden of shame that keeps whispering that you are not enough. You are not disqualified, my beloved child. You are invited. You are welcomed. You are wanted. You are seen. And as you continue opening what I have prepared, you will discover something beautiful. The very areas of your life that once made you feel unworthy will become powerful reminders of just how deep, how patient, and how unwavering my love for you truly is. My beloved child, now that you are beginning to understand that nothing disqualifies you from my love, I want to show you another treasure hidden within the invitation I have asked you to open. It is a gift that can change the way you see your life, your circumstances, and even yourself. It is the gift of new vision. Many people believe that transformation begins when circumstances change. They think peace will come when every problem disappears. They think joy will arrive when every prayer is answered. They think confidence will appear when every obstacle is removed. But often, the first thing I change is not the situation around you. The first thing I change is the way you see it. Vision is powerful, my child. Two people can stand in the same place, facing the same circumstances, and yet experience completely different realities because they see those circumstances differently. One sees only obstacles. The other sees opportunities. One sees only limitations. The other sees possibilities. One sees only darkness. The other notices the light that is beginning to break through. The difference is not always in what surrounds them. The difference is often in what they are looking at. There have been seasons in your life when pain narrowed your vision. Disappointment has a way of doing that. Fear does as well. When a person has been hurt, they naturally become focused on protecting themselves from further pain. Slowly, their attention shifts away from possibilities and becomes fixed on problems. I understand why this happens. When you have experienced setbacks, it becomes easy to expect more setbacks. When you have faced disappointment, it becomes easy to anticipate disappointment. When life hath been difficult, it becomes easy to believe that difficulty is all that lies ahead. But my beloved child, what if there is more to your story than what you currently see? What if the chapter you are living through is not the final chapter? What if the delay is not a denial? What if the closed door is actually guiding you toward a better one? What if the struggle that seems meaningless today is preparing strength that you will need tomorrow? These are the kinds of things New Vision begins to reveal. Here's a story about a young traveler crossing a vast desert. Day after day he walked beneath the scorching sun. Everywhere he looked, he saw endless sand. He became discouraged because he believed nothing beautiful existed beyond the horizon. One evening, he met an experienced guide. The guide asked, "Why do you seem so hopeless?" The traveler replied, "Because all I see is desert." A guide smiled and pointed toward a distant mountain range. Beyond those mountains is a valley filled with rivers, gardens, and life. The traveler looked carefully but could not see it. The mountains blocked his view. Still, the valley existed. The guide could see what the traveler could not. My beloved child, there have been moments when you have looked at your life and seen only the desert. You have seen unanswered questions. You have seen delays. You have seen challenges. You have seen uncertainty. But I see beyond the mountains that currently block your view. I see the blessings being prepared. I see the healing taking place. I see the growth developing within you. I see the opportunities that have not yet appeared. I see the doors that are still waiting to open. And because I see those things, I can ask you to keep walking even when you do not fully understand the path. New vision does not mean ignoring reality. It means seeing reality through the lens of hope instead of fear. It means understanding that temporary circumstances do not define eternal truths. It means remembering that a difficult season is still only a season. Winter is not forever. Storms do not last forever. Night eventually gives way to morning. And your current challenge is not the whole story. As you continue opening what I have prepared, I want to help you see yourself differently as well. You are not merely someone trying to survive. You are someone growing stronger. You are not merely someone recovering from past wounds. You are someone being restored. You are not merely someone carrying burdens. You are someone learning to walk in freedom. You are not merely someone hoping for change. You are someone already being transformed. My beloved child, New Vision allows you to see evidence of my work even before the final results appear. It helps you notice progress where you once saw only struggle. It helps you recognize growth where you once saw only weakness. It helps you discover hope where you once expected disappointment. And as this new vision begins to grow within you, you will realize something beautiful. The gift I am asking you to open is not only changing what you believe about me, it is changing what you believe about your future. Because when you begin seeing through the eyes of hope, you discover that possibilities have been surrounding you all along, waiting for you to notice them. My beloved child, as you continue opening what I have prepared for you, you are about to discover the first treasure hidden within this invitation. It is not wealth. It is not power. It is not recognition. It is something far more valuable, something your heart has been searching for even when you could not find the words to describe it. The first treasure is peace. Not the kind of peace the world offers. Not a peace that depends on perfect circumstances or favorable outcomes. Not a peace that appears one day and vanishes the next. I am speaking of a deeper peace, a peace that remains steady even when life feels uncertain. Many people spend years chasing peace without realizing where it is found. They believe peace will come after every problem is solved. They tell themselves, once this challenge ends, I will finally rest. Once this prayer is answered, I will finally have peace. Once this burden disappears, I will finally feel calm. But my beloved child, peace that depends on circumstances will always be fragile, because circumstances constantly change. The peace I offer is different. It begins in my presence. Imagine a ship crossing a vast ocean during a storm. Waves rise high. Winds push against it from every direction. The sky is dark, and the sea is restless. Yet deep beneath the surface, far below the crashing waves, the ocean remains calm. That is the kind of peace I want to place within you. The surface of life may not always be calm. Challenges may still arise. Questions may still exist. Unexpected situations may still appear. But beneath those temporary waves, I can establish a peace that remains unmoved. You have already experienced glimpses of this peace before. Perhaps it appeared during a difficult moment when you expected panic but somehow found strength. Perhaps it came during a season of uncertainty when hope quietly remained alive. Perhaps it arrived during a prayer when your heart suddenly felt lighter. Those moments were reminders that my peace is real. My child, peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of trust. When you begin to trust that I am holding your future, fear loses some of its power. When you trust that I am working even when you cannot see it, anxiety begins to loosen its grip. When you trust that my love remains constant, uncertainty no longer feels overwhelming. This peace does not arrive all at once. It grows as your relationship with me grows. It deepens as trust deepens. It strengthens each time you choose faith over fear. Think of a tree planted beside a flowing stream. Storms may come. Strong winds may blow. Seasons may change. Yet the tree remains rooted because its source of life runs deeper than what is happening around it. My beloved child, I want your peace to be rooted that deeply, not in temporary circumstances, not in human approval, not in perfect outcomes, but in the unchanging truth that you are loved, guided, and held by me. There will still be days when worries try to return. There will still be moments when fear knocks at your door. Yet every time those things appear, I want you to remember this treasure. Peace is already being offered to you. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to chase it. You simply need to receive it. And as you open your heart to this gift, you will discover that peace becomes strength. It becomes clarity. It becomes a steady foundation beneath your feet. My beloved child, this is the first treasure waiting inside my invitation, and it is only the beginning. As this peace settles into your heart, I want to speak for a moment to those who feel moved to help this message reach other hearts that are still searching for the same peace. If these words have been a river in a dry place for you, understand that your support becomes a river for someone else. Every super thanks, every membership, and every PayPal gift helps carry light into lives that may be standing before unopened doors. I am the one who says that when seeds are sown, a harvest follows, and your generosity becomes a seed of hope planted in many hearts. Remember my promise that I will supply seed to the sower and increase the fruit of their faithfulness. My child, if you feel my nudge, do not ignore it, for this is not merely a donation, but a partnership in spreading encouragement, healing, and truth. The PayPal donation link is available in the video description, and you can also use the PayPal QR code shown in the video. Every act of giving helps keep this light shining for those walking through dark valleys. As you sow into this mission, may peace, provision, and renewed strength flow back into your own life like a river that never runs dry. Hear my invitation in your heart. What I have placed in your hands can become a blessing in the hands of many. Let your generosity become a living testimony. Take action today and help carry this message to the hearts that are waiting to open what I have prepared for them. My beloved child, now that you have discovered the first treasure hidden within my invitation, the gift of peace, I want to reveal something else that is taking place in your life, even if you cannot fully see it yet. I am healing what you cannot reach. There are wounds within the human heart that cannot be healed by time alone. Many people believe that if enough days pass, enough months pass, or enough years pass, the pain will simply disappear. Sometimes the sharpness of the pain fades, but the deeper wound remains hidden beneath the surface. I see those hidden places within you. I see the memories that still carry emotion when you think about them. I see the disappointments that left marks upon your heart. I see the words spoken over you that you were never meant to carry. I see the moments when trust was broken. I see the seasons when you felt alone. I see every wound, even the ones you rarely speak about. And my beloved child, I am not afraid of any of them. Many people try to hide their wounds because they fear being judged. They become experts at appearing strong. They learn how to smile while hurting. They learn how to function while carrying pain. Eventually, they become so accustomed to their wounds that they stop expecting healing altogether. They begin to believe that the pain is simply part of who they are. But I want you to hear me carefully. Your wounds may be part of your story, but they are not your identity. You are not defined by what hurt you. You are not defined by what you lost. You are not defined by what others failed to give you. You are my beloved child, and there are parts of your heart I am still restoring. Healing is often different from what people expect. Many imagine healing as a sudden event where everything changes instantly. Sometimes I work that way, but often, healing is a journey. It is the gradual restoration of places that have been wounded. It is the slow return of trust. It is the steady rebuilding of hope. It is the quiet strengthening of a heart that once felt fragile. Think of a gardener caring for a tree that has been damaged by a storm. The branches are broken. The bark is scarred. At first glance, the tree appears beyond repair. But the gardener does not abandon it. Day after day, he waters it. He protects it. He tends to it. And over time, new growth begins to appear. The scars remain visible, but they no longer prevent life from flourishing. My beloved child, that is often how healing unfolds. There are areas where you expected immediate answers, yet I have been working patiently beneath the surface. There are wounds you thought would never improve, yet little by little, strength has been returning. There are burdens that once felt overwhelming, yet now they no longer control you the way they once did. That is not an accident. That is evidence of my healing work. Sometimes you become discouraged because you focus on how far you still want to go instead of recognizing how far you have already come. You compare today's struggles with the future you hope to reach and overlook the growth that has already taken place. But I see it. I see the resilience that has developed within you. I see the wisdom that difficult seasons have produced. I see the compassion that emerged from your pain. I see the strength that was forged through challenges. And I see the healing that continues even now. There may be moments when old memories return. There may be days when certain wounds feel tender again. Do not mistake those moments as signs that healing has failed. A wound can still be healing even while it remains sensitive. A tree can still be growing even while scars remain visible. And a heart can still be recovering even while it remembers what it has endured. My child, be patient with yourself. I am. Do not measure your healing by perfection. Measure it by progress. Measure it by the ways fear has lost some of its grip. Measure it by the ways hope has returned. Measure it by the fact that you are still standing, still believing, still moving forward. That alone is evidence that my hand is upon you. The invitation I asked you to open was never only about discovering treasures. It was also about allowing me access to the places where healing is still needed. Not because I wish to expose your pain, but because I wish to restore your heart. So when you feel weak, remember that I am working. When you feel impatient, remember that I am working. When you cannot see immediate results, remember that I am working. Just as roots grow beneath the soil before anyone sees the tree rise above the ground, much of my healing work begins in places hidden from human eyes. And my beloved child, I promise you this, I do not begin restoration only to abandon it halfway. The same loving hands that carried you through every difficult season are still tending to your heart today. And as you continue opening what I have prepared, you will discover that healing is not merely something I do. It is one of the ways I reveal my love to you. My beloved child, as you continue this journey with me, I want to teach you something that many people struggle to understand. It is a truth that can bring comfort during seasons of waiting, strength during seasons of uncertainty, and hope during seasons when nothing seems to be changing. I want to speak to you about the seeds beneath the soil. There are times in life when progress is obvious. Doors open. Opportunities appear. Prayers are answered in ways that can be clearly seen. During those seasons, it is easy to believe that growth is taking place. But what about the seasons when everything appears still? What about the days when your efforts seem unnoticed? What about the prayers that seem unanswered? What about the dreams that feel delayed? What about the moments when you look around and see no visible evidence that anything is changing? Those are often the seasons when the most important growth is happening. Imagine a farmer standing in a field after planting seeds. He has worked diligently. He has prepared the soil. He has placed each seed in the ground. Yet when he returns the next day, the field looks exactly the same. The day after that, it still looks the same. A week later, it still appears unchanged. If the farmer judged his progress only by what he could immediately see, he might conclude that nothing was happening. But beneath the surface, life has already begun. Roots are forming. Growth is taking place. The seed is responding to conditions that human eyes cannot observe. The field may appear unchanged, but transformation is already underway. My beloved child, there have been seasons in your life that felt exactly like that field. You prayed, but the answer did not arrive immediately. You believed, but the breakthrough seemed delayed. You hoped, but circumstances remained difficult. And because you could not see visible change, you wondered whether anything was happening at all. Yet I want you to understand something important. Just because you cannot see growth does not mean growth is absent. Some of the greatest work I do in your life happens beneath the surface. While you are waiting for external change, I am often developing internal strength. While you are looking for open doors, I am preparing you to walk through them. While you are asking for immediate answers, I am building wisdom, patience, resilience, and faith within you. Those things may not always be visible at first, but they are valuable beyond measure. Think about a mighty tree. The strength of the tree is not determined by what rises above the ground alone. Its strength depends largely upon the roots hidden below. The deeper the roots, the stronger the tree becomes. And roots are developed in places that nobody sees. My child, there have been times when you felt frustrated because your life did not seem to be moving as quickly as you hoped. You looked at others and wondered why their journey appeared different. You questioned whether you had missed something or whether you were falling behind. But I do not measure your life by comparison. I measure it by purpose. And sometimes purpose requires preparation. A seed that grows too quickly without developing roots cannot withstand the storm. A house built without a strong foundation cannot endure pressure. And a future blessing received before proper preparation can become a burden instead of a gift. That is why waiting is not always wasted time. Sometimes waiting is preparation. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes stillness is growth in disguise. There is a story about a young gardener who planted a rare tree. After several months, he became discouraged because he saw little visible growth. He considered giving up and planting something else. An older gardener noticed his frustration and said, "Do not judge the tree too soon." Years later, that same tree became the strongest in the entire garden. The younger gardener eventually learned that while the tree appeared slow to grow above ground, it had spent those early years developing an extraordinary root system beneath the soil. Its strength was being built before its beauty became visible. My beloved child, perhaps there are areas of your life where you feel like that tree. You see little progress. You see few signs. You wonder whether your efforts matter. But I see the roots. I see the strength being developed. I see the wisdom being gained. I see the character being refined. I see the faith growing deeper. And I see the future harvest that is still on its way. Do not abandon hope simply because the soil looks quiet. Do not assume nothing is happening because the process is hidden. Do not give up because the timing is different from what you expected. The seeds I have planted within your life are not forgotten. They are growing. The prayers are not forgotten. The dreams are not forgotten. The promises are not forgotten. And neither are you. My beloved child, trust the process even when you cannot see it. Trust the growth taking place beneath the surface. Trust the hands that planted the seeds in the first place. Because one day, what has been developing in secret will begin to appear in the open. And when that day comes, you will realize that the seasons that felt slow were never empty at all. They were the seasons where I was preparing something beautiful to rise from the soil of your life. My beloved child, there is a feeling that visits many hearts during difficult seasons. It is a feeling so heavy that it can make even the brightest day seem dim. It is the feeling of being forgotten. Perhaps you know this feeling. Perhaps there have been moments when you looked around and wondered why others seemed to be moving forward while you remained in a season of waiting. Perhaps you watched doors open for others while your own prayers appeared unanswered. Perhaps you carried burdens in silence and wondered whether anyone truly noticed. And if you are honest, there may have been times when you quietly asked a question you were afraid to speak aloud. Have I been forgotten? My beloved child, I want you to hear my answer clearly. No, you have never been forgotten. Not for a single moment. Not during your victories. Not during your struggles. Not during your seasons of faith. Not during your seasons of doubt. You have always remained in my sight. Human memory is limited. People forget appointments, conversations, promises, and even important moments. Life becomes busy, distractions arise, and attention shifts from one thing to another. But I am not like that. I do not lose track of my children. I do not become distracted by the size of the world. I do not overlook those who are quietly waiting. Every detail of your life remains known to me. I know the dreams you still carry. I know the prayers you continue to whisper. I know the hopes you have not shared with anyone. I know the burdens you carry behind your smile. I know the tears that fell when no one else was present. And because I know these things, I can tell you with certainty that you have never been forgotten. There is a story about a young shepherd who cared for a large flock. Every evening, he carefully counted his sheep before bringing them into safety for the night. One evening, after counting them, he discovered that one sheep was missing. A missing sheep was only one among many. Some people would have said, "You still have most of the flock. One sheep does not matter." But the shepherd did not think that way. Because the sheep belonged to him, he searched through the night. He crossed rough terrain. He walked through darkness. And when he finally found the sheep, he rejoiced. Why? Because what belongs to a loving shepherd is never forgotten. My beloved child, if a shepherd remembers one sheep among many, how much more do I remember you? You are not a number. You are not an afterthought. You are not someone I occasionally notice. You are my beloved child, and my attention toward you has never wavered. The problem is that waiting seasons often create an illusion. When answers take time, people begin to assume they have been overlooked. When progress feels slow, they assume they have been abandoned. When circumstances remain difficult, they assume they have been forgotten. But my child, delay is not abandonment. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection. Many of the greatest things I prepare require time. Think about the sunrise. Long before the first light appears above the horizon, the dawn is already approaching. The person standing in darkness may believe morning is far away. Yet even while they wait, the earth is already turning toward the light. The arrival of dawn is not determined by what they can see. It is determined by a process already in motion. In the same way, there are things moving within your life that you cannot fully see yet. Answers are being prepared. Doors are being positioned. Growth is taking place. Healing is continuing. Purpose is unfolding. And all of it remains under my care. My beloved child, I want you to stop measuring my faithfulness by your ability to see immediate results. There are times when my greatest work occurs behind the scenes, not because I wish to keep blessings from you, but because preparation often happens before revelation. The farmer prepares the soil before the harvest appears. The builder lays the foundation before the house is visible. The artist sketches before the masterpiece is revealed. And I often prepare blessings long before you recognize them. So when the feeling of being forgotten tries to enter your heart, remember this truth. I know your name. I know your story. I know your struggles. I know your hopes. I know your future. And I know exactly where you are. There has never been a moment when my eyes were not upon you. There has never been a prayer that disappeared into emptiness. There has never been a tear that went unnoticed. There has never been a season that existed outside my awareness. My beloved child, you may not always understand my timing, but you can trust my heart. The same hands that planted seeds within your life are still tending them. The same voice that called you forward is still guiding you. The same love that carried you through past seasons remains with you today. And one day, when you look back upon this chapter, you will see what you cannot fully see now. You will realize that during the moments when you felt most forgotten, I was actually closer than you imagined, carefully working within your story, preparing blessings, growth, and restoration that would arrive at exactly the right time. My beloved child, after hearing that you have never been forgotten, there is another truth I want to place gently within your heart. It concerns something that has stood in the path of many of my children. It is not always visible, yet it influences countless decisions. It has caused dreams to remain unopened, opportunities to remain unexplored, and blessings to remain untouched. I am speaking about fear. Fear is often like a guard standing before a door. The door may lead to healing. The door may lead to growth. The door may lead to peace. The door may lead to a new beginning. Yet fear stands at the entrance and whispers reasons not to enter. It rarely announces itself loudly at first. Instead, it speaks in subtle ways. What if this does not work? What if you get hurt again? What if you fail? What if things never change? What if you are disappointed? Little by little, fear fills the mind with questions that make the door seem more dangerous than it truly is. My beloved child, I know the influence fear has had upon your life. I know the moments when you wanted to step forward but hesitated. I know the times when you wanted to trust but found yourself holding back. I know the seasons when uncertainty felt larger than hope. And I want you to understand something important. Fear itself is not proof that you are weak. Fear is simply a reminder that you are facing something that matters. Even courageous people experience fear. The difference is that courage chooses not to let fear become the master. Many people misunderstand courage. They imagine courage means feeling no fear at all. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite it. Imagine a child learning to swim. The water feels unfamiliar. The child feels uncertain. Part of them wants to stay safely on the shore where everything feels predictable. Yet the loving instructor stands nearby, encouraging them. The child takes a step, then another. Eventually, what once felt frightening becomes something they can navigate with confidence. What changed? The water did not change. The child's trust grew. My beloved child, many of the doors before you are not waiting for you to become fearless. They are waiting for you to trust me more than you trust your fears. Fear focuses on what might go wrong. Trust focuses on who is walking with you. Fear says, you are alone. Trust says, I am with you. Fear says, you cannot handle this. Trust says, I will strengthen you. Fear says, turn back. Trust says, keep moving forward. Here is a story about a traveler who came to a narrow bridge suspended over a deep valley. On the other side of the bridge stood everything he had been searching for. The bridge looked fragile. The valley below seemed intimidating. The traveler became afraid. For hours he stood at the entrance, imagining every possible disaster. He imagined the bridge collapsing. He imagined himself falling. He imagined countless problems that had not actually happened. As the day passed, an older guide approached him. The guide asked, "Why have you not crossed?" The traveler pointed toward the bridge. "It looks dangerous." The guide nodded. Then he asked, "Have you tested it?" "No." Have you taken a step onto it? Oh. Then how do you know it cannot hold you? The traveler had no answer. He had spent so much time listening to fear that he never discovered whether the bridge was actually trustworthy. Finally, he took a cautious step. Then another. Then another. And with every step, his confidence grew. The bridge held him safely all the way across. My beloved child, fear often creates prisons from possibilities. It convinces people to remain where they are because it magnifies uncertainty. Yet many of the blessings they seek exist on the other side of the very fear they are avoiding. Healing often lies beyond the fear of confronting pain. Growth often lies beyond the fear of failure. Purpose often lies beyond the fear of change. And freedom often lies beyond the fear of letting go. This is why I continue inviting you forward. Not because I want to pressure you, not because I expect perfection, but because I can see what exists beyond the door that fear is guarding. I can see the peace waiting there. I can see the restoration waiting there. I can see the strength waiting there. I can see the joy waiting there. And because I see those things, I lovingly encourage you to keep moving. My beloved child, you do not need to have every answer before taking the next step. You do not need complete certainty before trusting me. You do not need to eliminate every fear before moving forward. You only need to remember who is beside you. I am beside you when the path feels unclear. I am beside you when courage feels difficult. I am beside you when uncertainty appears. And I am beside you when you choose to take the next step. The door that fear guards is not meant to remain closed forever. Little by little, as trust grows within your heart, fear begins to lose its authority. The voice that once seemed so powerful becomes quieter. The obstacles that once appeared overwhelming become smaller. And one day, you will look back and realize that the door which once intimidated you was actually leading toward some of the greatest gifts I had prepared for your life all along. My beloved child, now that you understand that fear often stands before the doors I ask you to walk through, I want to share another story with you. This story carries a lesson about guidance, trust, and the way I lead my children when the path ahead seems hidden. It is the story of a lantern in the storm. There was once a traveler making his way through a rugged mountain path. The journey was important because he was trying to reach a place that had been prepared for him. The road was long, but he had traveled it with confidence for many days. Then the storm arrived. Dark clouds gathered overhead. The wind began to howl through the mountains. Rain poured from the sky. Before long, the traveler could barely see a few steps in front of him. The path disappeared into darkness. The landmarks he had been following became invisible. The traveler became frightened. He stopped walking and looked around. "How can I continue?" he asked. "I cannot see where I am going." As he stood there, uncertain and discouraged, an elderly guide appeared carrying a small lantern. The traveler looked at the lantern and frowned. Its light seemed far too weak. It illuminated only a short distance ahead. "I need something brighter than that," the traveler said. "I need a light that shows me the entire path." The guide smiled gently. "If you could see the entire path, you would not need faith." The traveler looked again at the lantern. "But this light only shows a few steps." The guide nodded. "Then take those few steps." Reluctantly, the traveler obeyed. He walked the distance the lantern revealed. As he moved forward, the light continued showing the next few steps, and then the next, and then the next. Hour after hour, the lantern never illuminated the entire journey, but it always revealed enough for the next step. Eventually, The traveler reached his destination safely. Later, he realized something important. The small lantern had been sufficient all along. My beloved child, many times you have wanted the entire map when I was offering a lantern. You have wanted every answer before taking the first step. You have wanted complete certainty before moving forward. You have wanted to know exactly how everything would unfold before trusting me. Yet that is rarely how faith grows. Faith grows one step at a time. Trust grows one step at a time. Courage grows one step at a time. There are seasons when life feels like that mountain storm. You cannot clearly see the future. Questions remain unanswered. Certain doors have not opened yet. Some paths appear hidden. And because you cannot see the whole picture, you become tempted to stop moving altogether. But my beloved child, I have never asked you to see the entire journey. I have only asked you to trust me with the next step. Sometimes the next step is simply choosing hope when fear feels easier. Sometimes the next step is continuing to pray when answers seem delayed. Sometimes the next step is releasing a burden you have carried for too long. Sometimes the next step is believing that your future can still hold good things. The lantern I provide often comes in simple forms. A word of encouragement. A moment of peace. A reminder of my faithfulness. A quiet sense of direction. A small opportunity placed before you. These things may seem insignificant compared to the grand answers you desire, yet they are often exactly what you need for the next step. The mistake many people make is refusing to move until they can see everything. But clarity often comes through movement. The traveler in the story discovered more of the path as he continued walking. Had he remained standing still, the storm would have seemed endless. My beloved child, some of the clarity you seek is waiting on the other side of obedience. Some of the confidence you seek is waiting on the other side of trust. Some of the peace you seek is waiting on the other side of the next step. I know uncertainty can feel uncomfortable. I know waiting for answers can feel difficult. I know you sometimes wish I would explain every detail of your future. But remember this. I see the entire path. I see every turn. I see every challenge. I see every opportunity. I see every blessing being prepared ahead of you. And because I see those things, I can guide you even when you cannot see them yet. The lantern is not weak because it reveals only a little. The lantern is powerful because it reveals enough. Enough for today. Enough for the next step. Enough to keep moving. Enough to keep trusting. Enough to continue the journey. My beloved child, do not become discouraged if you cannot see the whole road ahead. You were never meant to carry the burden of knowing everything. That responsibility belongs to me. Your responsibility is simply to keep walking with me. One step, one day, one act of trust at a time. And as you continue following the light I provide, you will discover what the traveler discovered. The guidance was always sufficient. The path was always there. And even in the middle of the storm, you were never walking alone. The lantern of my love, my wisdom, and my presence was lighting the way all along. My beloved child, as you continue opening the treasures I have prepared for you, there is another gift waiting inside. It is a gift that many people avoid because they misunderstand it. They think it will cost them too much. They think it asks them to ignore their pain. They think it requires them to pretend that what happened never mattered. But that is not what this gift is. Today, I want you to open the box of forgiveness. The moment many people hear that word, their hearts become guarded. Old memories begin to surface. Faces appear in their minds. Painful moments return. They remember the betrayal, the rejection, the unfair treatment, the disappointment, or the wounds that still ache when they think about them. And quietly, a question rises. Why should I forgive when I was the one who was hurt? My beloved child, that is an honest question. And I want you to understand something important. Forgiveness is not about pretending the wound never existed. Forgiveness is not calling wrong things right. Forgiveness is not denying your pain. Forgiveness is not allowing harmful behavior to continue. Forgiveness is something much deeper. It is the decision to stop carrying a burden that is hurting you. Imagine a traveler walking down a long road while carrying a heavy chain wrapped around their shoulders. The chain is uncomfortable. It slows them down. It causes pain with every step. One day, someone asks, "Why are you carrying that chain?" The traveler replies, "Because another person placed it on me." Years pass. The chain grows heavier. The traveler becomes exhausted. Then the person asks another question. "Even if someone placed it on you, why are you still carrying it?" My beloved child, many people continue carrying chains long after the original wound occurred. The event is over. The moment has passed. Yet the weight remains. Not because the wound was imaginary, but because the pain has never been released. This is where forgiveness becomes a gift. Not a gift for the person who hurt you, a gift for you. Because unforgiveness often keeps you connected to the pain of the past. It allows old wounds to continue influencing present peace. It gives yesterday's hurt authority over today's joy. And I do not want that for you. I want freedom for your heart. I want healing for your spirit. I want peace to flow where bitterness once lived. And now listen carefully, my beloved child. Forgiveness does not always happen instantly. Sometimes it is a process. Sometimes it begins as a simple willingness. A willingness to place the wound into my hands. A willingness to stop replaying the offense. A willingness to trust me with justice. A willingness to let healing begin. You do not have to force emotions that are not ready. You do not have to pretend everything is fine. You simply need to begin opening your heart to the possibility of release. There is a story about a gardener whose beautiful garden became damaged by a neighboring tree. Branches fell repeatedly into the garden, destroying flowers and creating frustration. For years, the gardener became consumed by anger toward the tree. Every morning, he looked at the damage. Every evening, he thought about the damage. His attention became so focused on the fallen branches that he stopped caring for the healthy plants still growing in the garden. One day, an older gardener visited and said, "The fallen branches have already taken enough from you. Why allow them to steal your attention as well?" Those words changed everything. The gardener began removing the branches. He resumed caring for the flowers. He watered the healthy plants. Over time, the garden flourished again. The damage had been real, but it no longer controlled the future of the garden. My beloved child, some wounds have occupied space within your heart for too long. Not because you are weak, not because you are unwilling, but because pain naturally wants to hold on. Yet healing often begins where release begins. I am not asking you to excuse what happened. I am asking you to stop allowing it to define your future. There are blessings ahead that require open hands. There is peace ahead that requires room to enter. There is healing ahead that needs space to grow. And unforgiveness often occupies that space. Remember this. Forgiveness does not mean the story never happened. It means the story no longer controls you. It means you trust me to carry what you can no longer carry. It means you stop drinking from old wells of pain and begin receiving fresh water from my peace. My beloved child, the box of forgiveness contains freedom. Not freedom from memory, but freedom from bondage. Not freedom from the past, but freedom from being ruled by it. As you continue opening what I have prepared for you, I gently invite you to place every wound, every disappointment, every betrayal, and every hurt into my hands. You do not have to carry them forever. You were created for more than survival. You were created for freedom. And sometimes the key that unlocks the next chapter of healing is found inside the very box that seemed hardest to open. Today, my child, I am inviting you to open it and discover the peace waiting inside. My beloved child, after opening the box of forgiveness, there is another treasure I want to place before you. This treasure has always been available, yet many of my children struggle to receive it because they spend so much time looking at themselves through the lens of past experiences, failures, fears, and insecurities. Today, I want to show you something different. I want to tell you what I see when I look at you. Many people spend their lives asking questions about who they are. They search for identity and achievements, relationships, possessions, approval, and success. They allow the opinions of others to shape the way they see themselves. They carry labels that were spoken over them years ago. Some were called inadequate. Some were told they would never succeed. Some were made to feel invisible. Others were taught to believe they were valuable only when they performed well. Over time, those voices begin to sound familiar, and what becomes familiar often begins to feel true. But my beloved child, not every voice you have heard has spoken the truth about you. Not every label belongs to you. Not every opinion deserves a place in your heart. The truth about your identity does not come from your worst day. It does not come from your greatest mistake. It does not come from the criticism of others. It comes from the one who created you. And I created you with purpose. I created you with value. I created you with intention. When I look at you, I do not first see your flaws. I do not first see your fears. I do not first see your struggles. I see my beloved child. I see someone worthy of love. I see someone whose life has meaning. I see someone carrying gifts, strengths, and possibilities that may not even be fully visible yet. Here is a story about a sculptor who found a rough piece of stone lying beside a road. Most people walked past it without a second glance. To them, it appeared ordinary and unremarkable. But the sculptor stopped. He studied the stone carefully. Then he brought it home and began his work. Day after day, he chipped away pieces that did not belong. Slowly, a beautiful statue began to emerge. Years later, people traveled from far away just to admire the masterpiece. One visitor asked the sculptor, "How did you create something so beautiful from such an ordinary stone?" The sculptor smiled and replied, "I did not create the beauty. I simply revealed what was already there." My beloved child, there are times when you look at yourself like that rough stone. You see imperfections. You see unfinished areas. You see weaknesses. But I see something more. I see what I placed within you. I see the strength that has been formed through your challenges. I see the compassion that grew from your struggles. I see the wisdom gained through difficult seasons. I see the resilience that developed when you refused to give up. I see beauty where you see brokenness. I see growth where you see delay. I see potential where you see limitation. And because I see those things, I never lose hope in you. There may be moments when you feel ordinary. There may be days when you question your value. There may be seasons when your progress seems small. But remember this, my child. A masterpiece is not defined by one unfinished section. The story is not complete yet. The work is still unfolding. The process is still moving forward. Many people become discouraged because they focus entirely on what they have not yet become. They forget to recognize what has already been transformed. Take a moment and consider how far you have come. You have survived things that once felt impossible. You have grown through experiences that challenged you. You have gained wisdom through seasons that tested you. You have continued walking even when the road felt difficult. That is not weakness. That is strength. That is evidence of growth. That is evidence of my hand upon your life. My beloved child, when I look at you, I do not see someone disqualified by imperfection. I see someone being shaped by grace. I do not see someone defined by mistakes. I see someone learning, growing, and becoming stronger. I do not see someone abandoned. I see someone deeply loved. There is a reason I continue inviting you to open what I have prepared. It is because I want you to begin seeing yourself the way I see you. Not through the eyes of fear. Not through the eyes of shame. Not through the eyes of comparison. But through the eyes of truth. And the truth is this: you are valuable. You are loved. You are known. You are seen. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. You are not finished. The story I am writing in your life is still unfolding. So whenever doubt tries to tell you otherwise, remember what I see when I look at you. I see a beloved child with purpose, potential, and a future still being shaped by my loving hands. And no temporary struggle, no past failure, and no human opinion can change the value I have placed within you. My beloved child, now that you are beginning to see yourself through my eyes, I want to speak to you about something that still lives quietly within many hearts. It is something precious, something that may have been hidden beneath layers of disappointment, delay, and discouragement. I want to talk about the dream you thought were lost. There was a time when your heart carried certain hopes with great excitement. There were things you wanted to accomplish, places you wanted to go, prayers you hoped would be answered, and possibilities that filled you with anticipation. Some of those dreams were spoken aloud. Others remained hidden deep within your heart. You believed they would happen. You imagined how life might unfold. You looked toward the future with expectation. But somewhere along the way, something changed. Perhaps circumstances shifted. Perhaps doors closed unexpectedly. Perhaps people discouraged you. Perhaps time passed without the answers you expected. And little by little, those dreams began to fade into the background. Some were placed on a shelf. Some were buried beneath responsibilities. Some were abandoned after repeated disappointment. And some became so painful to think about that you stopped mentioning them altogether. My beloved child, I know every dream you have carried, even the ones you no longer talk about, even the ones you have convinced yourself are impossible, even the ones you believe have already passed you by. I know them all, and I want you to understand something important. A delayed dream is not always a dead dream. Many people mistake waiting for ending. They assume that because something has not happened yet, it never will. They conclude that because a door closed, every opportunity has disappeared. They believe that because the path changed, the purpose has been lost. But my child, I often work in ways that are larger than what you can immediately see. There are dreams that require preparation. There are blessings that require timing. There are opportunities that must mature before they can be fully received. Think about a seed planted in the soil. If someone digs it up every week to check its progress, they may become discouraged because they do not see immediate results. But growth is taking place beneath the surface. The seed is not dead. It is developing. It is preparing. It is becoming what it was designed to be. My beloved child, Some dreams in your life are like that seed. They may appear inactive. They may seem forgotten. But appearance and reality are not always the same. I have not forgotten what I placed within your heart. There is a story about a young musician who dreamed of playing before large audiences. He practiced diligently for years, yet opportunities seemed scarce. Doors remained closed. Progress felt painfully slow. Eventually, he became discouraged. He stored his instrument away and convinced himself that the dream had ended. Years later, an unexpected opportunity appeared. Someone heard him play, recognized his gift, and opened a door he never anticipated. Looking back, the musician realized something important. The years he considered wasted had actually prepared him for the opportunity when it arrived. Without those years of growth, he would not have been ready. My beloved child, there are times when what feels like delay is actually preparation. There are seasons when I am strengthening your character before expanding your influence. There are moments when I am building wisdom before opening certain doors. There are chapters when I am teaching trust before revealing the next step. And because that preparation happens quietly, it can be easy to mistake it for inactivity. But I am always working. And now listen carefully. Not every dream returns exactly as it was first imagined. Sometimes I restore a dream. Sometimes I reshape it. Sometimes I replace it with something even better. The goal is not simply to give you what you originally envisioned. The goal is to lead you toward what will truly bring life, growth, purpose, and fulfillment. There are dreams you released that needed to be released. There are dreams you outgrew. There are dreams that served a purpose for a season. And there are dreams still waiting for their appointed time. The key is trusting me enough to place them in my hands. Do not become trapped by the belief that your future is limited to what you currently see. Your story is still unfolding. Your journey is still moving forward. Your purpose is still developing. And possibilities still exist beyond the horizon. My beloved child, I do not want disappointment to become the final voice speaking over your dreams. I do not want fear to determine what you believe is possible. I do not want past delays to convince you that nothing beautiful remains ahead. Lift your eyes again. Allow hope to breathe again. Allow expectation to awaken again. Not because every dream will unfold exactly as you plan, but because I am still guiding your life. Some dreams may be restored. Some dreams may be renewed. Some dreams may be transformed into something greater than you imagine. But none of them are beyond my reach. So do not bury hope. Do not lock away possibility. Do not close your heart to what I may still do. For my beloved child, there are blessings you have not yet seen, doors you have not yet approached, and chapters you have not yet lived. And one day, you may discover that what you thought was the end of a dream was actually the beginning of a much greater story that I was preparing all along. My beloved child, after speaking to you about the dreams you thought were lost, I want to reveal another treasure hidden within the gift I have asked you to open. This treasure becomes especially important during difficult seasons, when your own strength feels insufficient and the road ahead seems longer than you expected. I want to speak to you about divine strength. There are moments in life when human strength reaches its limits. You know those moments. The moments when you have given all you feel you can give. The moments when you have tried to stay positive but felt exhausted. The moments when you have carried responsibilities, worries, and challenges for so long that your heart begins to whisper, I do not know how much farther I can go. Many people experience these seasons and believe something is wrong with them. They assume that needing help is weakness. They assume that feeling tired means they have failed. They assume that strong people never struggle. But my beloved child, that is not the truth. Even the strongest hearts experience weariness. Even the most faithful people face difficult days. Even those who trust deeply sometimes feel overwhelmed. Human strength was never designed to carry every burden alone. That is why I offer something greater. I offer my strength. There is a difference between human strength and divine strength. Human strength depends on circumstances. Divine strength remains available even when circumstances are difficult. Human strength eventually becomes exhausted. Divine strength continues flowing from a source that never runs dry. Human strength says, "I cannot do this." Divine strength says, "You do not have to do it alone." Think of a small boat crossing a vast ocean. If the boat relies only on its own power, the journey becomes difficult and limited. Every mile requires tremendous effort. But imagine that same boat raising its sails and allowing a powerful wind to carry it forward. The boat still moves. The journey still continues. But now it is being supported by a force greater than itself. My beloved child, there are seasons when I invite you to raise the sails of trust and allow my strength to carry you. This does not mean life suddenly becomes effortless. It means you stop believing that everything depends solely upon you. Some of you have been trying to carry burdens that were never meant to rest entirely upon your shoulders. You have been carrying tomorrow's worries while trying to manage today's responsibilities. You have been carrying the expectations of others. You have been carrying fears about outcomes you cannot control. You have been carrying questions that do not yet have answers. And slowly, the weight has drained your strength. But I want you to hear me carefully. You do not honor me by carrying everything alone. You honor me by trusting me enough to share the load. Here is a story about a traveler crossing a mountain path with a heavy backpack. As the day progressed, the pack became increasingly difficult to carry. A kind guide walking beside him noticed his struggle. Again and again the guide offered assistance. Again and again the traveler refused. "I can handle it myself," he insisted. Hours later, exhausted and barely able to continue, he finally accepted the guide's help. The guide lifted part of the burden, and immediately the journey became easier. The traveler later realized that the guide had been strong enough to help all along. The only thing preventing relief had been his unwillingness to receive it. My beloved child, there are times when you resemble that traveler. Not because you lack faith, not because you lack wisdom, but because you have become accustomed to carrying everything yourself. Yet I am standing beside you, offering strength. Strength for difficult conversations. Strength for uncertain season. Strength for emotional healing. Strength for waiting. Strength for trusting. Strength for continuing when the journey feels long. And this strength often arrives in ways you do not expect. Sometimes it comes as peace in the middle of chaos. Sometimes it comes as courage when fear tries to take control. Sometimes it comes as endurance when you feel like giving up. Sometimes it comes as hope when circumstances seem discouraging. My beloved child, one of the greatest mysteries of divine strength is that it often becomes most visible during moments of weakness. When everything is going well, people tend to rely on themselves. But when challenges arise, they discover the deeper source available to them. That is why weakness does not have to be feared. Weakness often becomes the doorway through which my strength enters. So do not be ashamed of the days when you feel tired. Do not condemn yourself for needing rest. Do not believe the lie that you must always appear strong. Bring your weariness to me. Bring your concerns to me. Bring your limitations to me. Because I already know them, and I am not disappointed by them. My beloved child, the treasure of divine strength is not reserved for a select few. It is available to every heart willing to receive it. You do not have to walk this road alone. You do not have to carry every burden by yourself. You do not have to depend solely on your own abilities. There is a greater strength available to you. And as you continue opening what I have prepared, you will discover that some of your greatest victories will not come from trying harder. They will come from trusting deeper. For when your strength reaches its limit, my strength is already waiting to carry you forward into the next chapter of your journey. My beloved child, after discovering the treasure of divine strength, I want to show you another gift hidden within the invitation I have asked you to open. This gift is one that many people search for in countless places, yet they often overlook its true source. Today, I want to speak to you about the river that never runs dry. Throughout your life, you have encountered many things that seem permanent but eventually changed. Seasons change you. Circumstances change you. Opportunities came and went. Emotions rose and fell. Wave uncertain one day, sometime it became uncertain the next. That is part of life in this world. Yet because so many things change, people often become afraid. They begin to worry that the good things they receive might disappear. They fear losing peace after finding it. They fear losing hope after recovering it. They fear that joy, strength, or purpose might only be temporary visitors in their lives. But my beloved child, I want you to know that there is a source available to you that does not depend on changing circumstances. There is a river that never runs dry. Imagine a traveler crossing a vast wilderness. The journey is long, the landscape is harsh, and the sun beats down relentlessly. At first, the traveler carries enough water to sustain himself. But as the days pass, his supply begins to diminish. Fear starts to grow. He begins rationing every drop. He worries constantly about running out. The less water he has, the more anxious he becomes. Then one day, he discovers a flowing river. The water is fresh. The water is abundant. The water continues flowing day and night. Suddenly, the traveler's fear begins to fade. Why? Because he is no longer depending upon a limited supply. He has found a source. My beloved child, many people live as though they are carrying a small container of water through life. They believe they have only a limited amount of peace, a limited amount of hope, a limited amount of strength, a limited amount of joy. And because they see everything as limited, they live with constant anxiety about losing what they have. But I want to lead you to the river of my presence, the river of my love, the river of my peace, the river of my strength, the river of my grace. These things do not originate from temporary circumstances. They flow from me. And because they flow from me, their source is not exhausted by difficult seasons. When challenges arise, my peace is still available. When disappointment appears, my hope is still available. When weakness arrives, my strength is still available. When uncertainty grows, my guidance is still available. The river continues flowing. There is a reason I keep inviting you closer to me. It is not because I desire something from you. It is because I desire something for you. I want you to stop living as though every blessing depends solely on your ability to hold everything together. I want you to stop believing that your future depends entirely upon your own strength. I want you to stop carrying the fear that one difficult season will drain every good thing from your life. The river does not stop flowing because the weather changes. And my love does not stop flowing because circumstances become difficult. There is a story about a village that experienced a severe drought. The people became frightened because their wells began drying up one by one. Every day, the water levels dropped lower. Panic spread throughout the community. Then an elderly man led the villagers to a hidden spring in the nearby hills. Unlike the wells, the spring never stopped flowing. The grotto affected the service, but it could not affect the sores. The villagers learned an important lesson. When they depended only upon what was visible, fear controlled them. When they discovered the deeper source, hope returned. My beloved child, there are times when life feels like a drought. Answers seem delayed. Energy feels low. Circumstances become challenging. And fear begins whispering that you are running out. Running out of strength. Running out of hope. Running out of possibilities. Running out of time. But fear sees only the wells. I see the spring. I see the deeper source that remains available to you. That source is my presence, and my presence is not limited by the conditions around you. The world may experience uncertainty. People may disappoint you. Plans may change. But my faithfulness remains. My love remains. My peace remains. My guidance remains. The river continues flowing. My beloved child, whenever you feel weary, remember the river. Whenever fear tells you that you are running out, remember the river. Whenever circumstances make you doubt the future, remember the river. Do not focus only on what appears scarce around you. Lift your eyes toward the source. Because the strength you need, the peace you seek, the hope you long for, and the love your heart desires are not found in temporary supplies. They are found in the one whose resources never diminish. And as you continue opening what I have prepared, you will discover that the closer you draw to the river, the less power fear has over you. For those who live near the source no longer have to panic when circumstances change. I know where their refreshment comes from. They know where their strength is renewed. And they know that the river flowing from my heart toward theirs will never run dry. My beloved child, after speaking to you about the river that never runs dry, I want to reveal another truth that can bring great comfort during seasons of uncertainty. It is a truth many people struggle to remember when life feels confusing, when prayers seem delayed, or when circumstances do not make sense. I want you to know this. I am working behind the scenes. There are moments when you can clearly see my hand at work. Doors open unexpectedly. Answers arrive at just the right time. Opportunities appear. Breakthroughs happen. During those moments, it is easy to recognize my involvement. But what about the seasons when nothing seems to be happening? What about the days when the answers do not come? What about the months when progress feels invisible? What about the times when you pray, wait, and wonder whether anything is changing at all? My beloved child, those are often the very moments when I am doing some of my deepest work. Human eyes naturally focus on what can be seen. You notice open doors. You notice visible results. You notice immediate changes. But much of what I do begins long before it becomes visible. Think about an artist creating a masterpiece. When people see the finished painting hanging on a wall, they admire its beauty. Yet they rarely see the countless hours spent preparing it. They do not see the early sketches, the adjustments, the corrections, and the careful planning that happened before the final image appeared. The masterpiece existed in the artist's mind long before others could see it. In a similar way, there are things I am preparing within your life that are not yet visible. That does not mean they are absent. It means they are still unfolding. There is a story about a young woman who planted an orchard. After months of caring for the land, she became discouraged because she saw very little fruit. One day she complained to an experienced farmer. "I work every day," she said. "I water the trees. I care for them. Yet I see almost nothing. The farmer smiled and asked, "Do you believe roots are growing?" "Of course," she replied. "Do you believe the trees are becoming stronger?" "Yes." "Then why assume nothing is happening simply because fruit has not appeared yet?" The young woman suddenly understood. The absence of visible fruit did not mean the trees were inactive. Growth was occurring where she could not see it. My beloved child, there have been times when you looked at your circumstances and concluded that nothing was changing. You examined your situation and saw delays. You looked at your prayers and saw waiting. You looked at your future and saw uncertainty. Yet I saw preparation. I saw roots growing. I saw strength developing. I saw wisdom increasing. I saw opportunities moving into place. I saw pieces of your story being arranged in ways you could not yet recognize. One of the greatest challenges during waiting seasons is trusting what you cannot see. Fear always focuses on visible evidence. Faith often trusts beyond visible evidence. Fear says nothing is happening. Faith says, something may be happening that I cannot see yet. And many times, faith is correct. My beloved child, there are connections being formed that you know nothing about. There are opportunities being prepared. There are conversations taking place. There are lessons being learned. There are doors being aligned with the timing of your journey. And all of these things continue even when your circumstances appear unchanged. This does not mean every delay is easy. I know waiting can feel difficult. I know uncertainty can be uncomfortable. I know unanswered questions can test your patience. But remember this, my silence is not inactivity. My delay is not neglect. My timing is not random. I see the entire picture while you see only one portion of it. Imagine watching a skilled builder construct a large structure. If you observed only a single day of work, the project might seem unfinished and confusing. Pieces would appear scattered. Progress might seem slow, but the builder understands the complete design. He knows where every piece belongs. He knows what is being created. And because he knows the final vision, he continues working even when others do not understand the process. My beloved child, I am the builder of your story. I know where each piece belongs. I know how current challenges connect to future blessings. I know how present lessons prepare you for future opportunities. I know how temporary struggles can produce lasting strength. And because I know these things, I ask you to trust me even when the process feels unclear. The invitation I asked you to open was never meant to reveal everything at once. It was meant to deepen trust. Trust that I see what you cannot see. Trust that I know what you do not yet know. Trust that I am working even when evidence appears limited. Trust that your story remains under my care. My beloved child, if you could see everything I am currently arranging on your behalf, your heart would be filled with renewed confidence. But until that day comes, hold on to this truth. The same hands that planted seeds in your life are still tending them. The same voice that called you forward is still guiding you. The same love that carried you through previous seasons is still surrounding you now. And even when nothing seems to be happening, I am working behind the scenes, weaving together details, opportunities, growth, and blessings that will one day reveal how faithfully I have been caring for your journey all along. My beloved child, after understanding that I am working behind the scenes, there is something else I want to gently place before your heart. As I prepare you for new growth, new peace, and new purpose, there is often a step that becomes necessary. It is the step of letting go. Many people long for new beginnings while still holding tightly to things that belong to old seasons. They pray for fresh peace while carrying old wounds. They ask for new opportunities while clinging to past disappointments. They desire freedom while holding burdens they were never meant to carry forever. My beloved child, I say this with tenderness and love. There are some things you must release in order to fully receive what I am preparing for you. Letting go does not mean that something never mattered. Letting go does not mean that a memory must be erased. Letting go does not mean pretending the past never happened. Letting go means recognizing that certain things have completed their purpose in your life and no longer deserve control over your future. Think about a traveler preparing for a long journey. His destination is beautiful, but the road requires endurance. Before leaving, he fills his bags with many unnecessary items. Some are broken objects from the past. Some are things he keeps out of habit. Some are items he carries because he fears he might need them someday. At first, the weight seems manageable. But as the journey continues, every step becomes more difficult. The traveler grows tired. Progress slows. The weight becomes overwhelming. One day, a wise guide looks at the traveler and asks a simple question. Why are you carrying all of that? The traveler replies, because I have carried it for so long that I do not know how to travel without it. My beloved child, some people carry emotional burdens the same way. They carry old guilt. They carry old fears. They carry old disappointments. They carry old labels. They carry old versions of themselves that no longer reflect who they are becoming. And because they have carried these things for so long, they begin to believe the weight is normal. But what feels familiar is not always beneficial. Some burdens have become so familiar that you no longer notice how much energy they consume. The fear of being hurt again. The need to control every outcome. The habit of expecting disappointment. The belief that you are not enough. The regret of things you cannot change. These things quietly drain strength from your heart. And while you continue carrying them, they occupy space that I want to fill with peace, trust, confidence, and hope. There is a reason gardeners prune healthy plants. At first glance, pruning seems strange. Branches are removed. Leaves are cut away. Certain parts of the plant are released. Yet the gardener is not harming the plant. The gardener is preparing it for greater growth. By removing what is no longer needed, more energy becomes available for what truly matters. My beloved child, there are seasons when I lovingly invite you into a form of spiritual pruning. Not because I want to take good things away from you, but because I want to create room for better things. Sometimes I ask you to release old fears. Sometimes I ask you to release unrealistic expectations. Sometimes I ask you to release bitterness. Sometimes I ask you to release relationships, habits, or mindsets that no longer support the person you are becoming. And yes, sometimes letting go feels uncomfortable. The familiar often feels safer than the unknown. Even when the familiar is heavy. Even when the familiar causes pain. Even when the familiar prevents growth. But my child, growth requires space. Peace requires space. Healing requires space. And new beginnings often require open hands. You cannot fully receive tomorrow while gripping yesterday with all your strength. That is why I gently ask you to examine what you are carrying. Ask yourself honestly, what fears am I still holding? What disappointments am I still replaying? What labels am I still believing? What burdens am I still carrying that I was never meant to carry forever? Bring those things before me. You do not have to release them alone. I am not standing at a distance demanding that you figure everything out by yourself. I am standing beside you, ready to help. Ready to carry what has become too heavy. Ready to exchange burdens for peace. Ready to exchange fear for trust. Ready to exchange regret for hope. My beloved child, there is freedom waiting on the other side of release. There is lightness waiting beyond the weight. There is joy waiting beyond the sorrow. There is clarity waiting beyond the confusion. And there is growth waiting beyond the things you no longer need. The journey ahead is beautiful. The path ahead contains blessings you have not yet seen. But some of those blessings require open hands to receive them. So today, I lovingly invite you to loosen your grip on what no longer serves your future. Let go of the burdens that belong to past seasons. Let go of the fears that have overstayed their welcome. Let go of the lies that have tried to define you. Because as you release what no longer belongs, you make room for what I have been preparing all along. And what I am preparing for you is far greater than anything you are being asked to leave behind. My beloved child, after learning the importance of letting go, I want to share a story with you. It is a story about something many people try to hide, something they believe makes them less valuable. Yet in my hands, it often becomes the very place where beauty begins to appear. This is the story of the broken vessel. There was once a craftsman who owned many beautiful clay vessels. Some were flawless and polished. Others were admired for their strength and perfect appearance. Among them sat one vessel that had been damaged. A crack ran along its side. The vessel saw the others displayed proudly and began to feel ashamed. Day after day, it compared itself to the vessels around it. They are whole, it thought. They are useful. They are beautiful. But I am broken. The vessel became convinced that its value had been lost. It believed the crack had ruined its purpose forever. One day, the craftsman picked up the damaged vessel and carried it to a nearby stream. Every morning he filled it with water and carried it back along a garden path. The vessel felt embarrassed. Because of the crack, water slowly leaked out during the journey. The vessel believed it was failing its task. After many days, it finally spoke. "Master," it said, "I am sorry. I cannot hold water the way the others can. My crack causes me to lose what you place inside me. Surely you would be better off using one of the perfect vessels." The craftsman smiled. Then he pointed along the path. The vessel looked carefully. Along one side of the trail, beautiful flowers bloomed in vibrant colors. The craftsman gently said, "I knew about your crack from the very beginning. So I planted seeds along this side of the path. Every day, as we walked, the water you thought was being wasted nourished those flowers." The vessel was silent. "You saw only your flaw," the craftsman continued. "But I saw a purpose hidden within it. My beloved child, there are times when you are like that vessel. You see your cracks. You see your scars. You see the wounds left behind by life. You see the mistakes, disappointments, and painful chapters. And because you focus on those things, you begin to believe they have diminished your value. But I want you to understand something deeply. I do not see your broken places the way you do. You often see damage. I often see opportunities for grace. You see weakness. I see places where strength can grow. You see scars. I see evidence of survival. You see failures. I see lessons that have produced wisdom. The world often celebrates perfection, but I have always been interested in transformation. A perfectly untouched life may look impressive from a distance, but it is often through life's challenges that compassion, humility, resilience, and understanding are formed. My beloved child, some of the qualities you treasure most in others were born from seasons of difficulty. The person who shows deep compassion often understands pain. The person who offers encouragement often knows what discouragement feels like. The person who extends kindness often remembers what it was like to need it. The person who walks in wisdom often gained it through struggle. In other words, many beautiful things grow from places that once felt broken. This does not mean I desired your pain. It does not mean every difficult experience was good. But it does mean that I am able to bring beauty from places that seemed ruined. There are parts of your story that you wish had unfolded differently. I know that. There are memories you would gladly erase if given the opportunity. I know that too. There are chapters you rarely revisit because they still carry emotion. I know every one of them. And yet, none of those chapters have placed you beyond my ability to restore. Think about a stained glass window. Up close, individual pieces may appear irregular and fragmented. Some pieces are dark. Some are rough around the edges. Some seem disconnected from the rest. But when light shines through the completed design, beauty emerges. What once looked broken becomes part of something extraordinary. My beloved child, your life is like that window. You are seeing only a portion of the design. I see the whole picture. I see how moments of sorrow have developed empathy. I see how seasons of waiting have produced patience. I see how challenges have strengthened your faith. I see how wounds have deepened your capacity to love. I see the masterpiece still being formed. So do not despise your scars. Do not allow shame to define your story. Do not believe the lie that your broken places make you less valuable. They do not. You are still loved. You are still chosen. You are still growing. You are still becoming. And the same hands that formed you in the beginning are still shaping your life today. My beloved child, the broken vessel in the story discovered something beautiful. What it believed disqualified it was actually part of how it fulfilled its purpose. In the same way, some of the very things you have questioned about yourself may one day become the places through which healing, encouragement, wisdom, and hope flow into the lives of others. For I am a God who restores, redeems, and renews. And when I touch what seems broken, I do not merely repair it. I transform it into something that reveals my love in ways it never could have before. My beloved child, after hearing the story of the broken vessel, I want to reveal another treasure hidden within the gift I have been asking you to open. This treasure has been present throughout your life, even during seasons when you could not clearly recognize it. It is something many people spend years searching for, often believing it must arrive all at once in a dramatic moment. But purpose rarely arrives that way. Today, I want you to open the gift of purpose. Many people imagine purpose as a single destination. They think it is one perfect opportunity, one specific achievement, or one extraordinary moment that suddenly explains everything. They believe that once purpose is found, every question disappears and every uncertainty vanishes. But my beloved child, purpose is often much more like a journey than a destination. It unfolds step by step. It reveals itself season by season. It grows as you grow. Think about the sunrise. When dawn begins, the entire landscape is not illuminated instantly. Light gradually spreads across the horizon. Details that were hidden begin to appear one by one. The world becomes clearer as the light continues to rise. Purpose often unfolds in a similar way. You are rarely shown the entire picture at once. Instead, I reveal enough for the next step, enough for today's decision, enough for today's growth, enough for today's act of faithfulness. Many people become frustrated because they are focused on the distant horizon while overlooking what is directly in front of them. They ask, "What is my purpose?" while ignoring opportunities to love, encourage, serve, learn, grow, and trust in the present moment. Yet purpose often begins in those very places. There is a story about a young builder who dreamed of constructing magnificent structures. He wanted to create something extraordinary, something that would inspire people for generations. But when he first began his training, he was assigned simple tasks: sweeping floors, organizing tools, carrying materials. The work seemed small and unimportant. He became discouraged. How will these little tasks ever lead to something significant? He asked his mentor. The mentor smiled and replied, "The person who cannot be faithful with small responsibilities will struggle with larger ones." At first, the young builder did not understand. But over time, he realized that every small task was teaching him something valuable: discipline, patience, attention to detail, consistency. Years later, when he was entrusted with larger projects, he discovered that those early lessons had prepared him for everything that followed. My beloved child, many times I prepare you for future purpose through present faithfulness. The conversation that seems ordinary, the act of kindness no one notices, the responsibility that feels small, the challenge that teaches perseverance, the season that develops patience. None of these things are wasted. They are part of the preparation. Purpose is not only found in extraordinary moments. Purpose is often found in everyday obedience. It is found in becoming the person I created you to be. It is found in using the gifts I have placed within you. It is found in allowing my love to flow through your life into the lives of others. Some of you have been worried that you are falling behind. You compare your journey to someone else's and wonder why your path looks different. You see others reaching milestones and question whether you are moving in the right direction. But my beloved child, purpose is not a race. I have not asked you to become someone else. I have not called you to walk another person's path. I have created a unique journey for you. And because it is unique, comparison will only create confusion. A tree does not compare itself to a river. A river does not compare itself to a mountain. Each fulfills its purpose by being what it was created to be. In the same way, your purpose is not found in imitation. It is found in authenticity. It is found in becoming the person I designed you to become. There are gifts within you that may still be developing. There are strengths within you that have not fully emerged. There are opportunities ahead that you cannot yet see. And there are people whose lives will be touched because of the unique journey you have walked. My beloved child, do not underestimate the significance of where you are right now. This season matters. This growth matters. This preparation matters. Even the challenges matter. For every experience is shaping you in some way. Every lesson is adding something valuable. Every step is moving you forward. You do not need to have every detail of the future figured out. You do not need to know exactly how every dream will unfold. You do not need complete clarity before taking the next step. You simply need to trust me enough to continue walking. Because purpose is not something you must chase across the horizon. It is something that unfolds as you walk with me. And as you continue opening what I have prepared, you will discover that many of the things you once considered ordinary were actually pieces of a greater story all along. A story filled with meaning, growth, service, love, and purpose that have been quietly unfolding beneath the surface of your life from the very beginning. My beloved child, as you continue opening the treasures I have prepared for you, there is a truth I want to place firmly within your heart. It is a truth that has the power to break chains, silence old accusations, and lift heavy burdens from your shoulders. The truth is this: your future is not defined by your past. Many people live as though their past is a prison sentence. They look at previous mistakes, missed opportunities, painful memories, and difficult seasons, and they assume those things have permanently determined what lies ahead. They begin to believe that yesterday has more authority than tomorrow. They allow old failures to speak louder than new possibilities. They allow old wounds to shape new decisions. And without realizing it, they begin building their future around what has already happened instead of what is still possible. My beloved child, I never intended for your past to become the ruler of your future. Your past contains lessons. Your past contains memories. Your past contains experiences that have helped shape you. But your past does not contain the final word over your life. I do. Think about a traveler who becomes lost while walking through a forest. After wandering in the wrong direction for some time, he finally discovers the correct path. Now imagine if the traveler stood at the entrance of the right path and refused to move forward because he kept staring at the wrong turns behind him. How far would he go? Not very far. Not because the correct path was unavailable, but because his attention remained fixed on where he had been instead of where he was going. My beloved child, there are times when people do the same thing with their lives. They continue replaying old mistakes. They continue reliving old disappointments. They continue carrying guilt from years ago. They continue allowing past failures to convince them that future success is impossible. And while they focus on yesterday, they miss the opportunities waiting in front of them today. I want something better for you. I want freedom. There is a difference between remembering the past and being controlled by it. Wisdom remembers lessons. Bondage keeps reliving pain. Wisdom learns and moves forward. Bondage stays trapped in old chapters. Wisdom says, I have grown. Bondage says, I will always be the same. But my beloved child, you are not the same person you once were. You have learned. You have grown. You had endured. You have matured. You have gained wisdom through experiences that once felt impossible to navigate. And because of that growth, you cannot accurately judge your future using an outdated version of yourself. There is a story about a young eagle raised among chickens. From the day it hatched, it lived on the ground. It watched the chickens scratch the earth and assumed it was meant to do the same. Years passed. The eagle learned to think like the chickens, act like the chickens, expect only what the chickens expected. Then one day, it looked into the sky and saw a magnificent eagle soaring above the mountains. The young eagle was amazed. What kind of bird is that? It asked. The chickens replied, that is an eagle. But do not think about it. Birds like us cannot fly that way. For a time, the young eagle believed them, until eventually it discovered the truth. It had never been a chicken. It had always been an eagle. Its identity had been greater than its environment. My beloved child, some of you have accepted limitations that were never meant to define you. You have allowed past experiences to convince you that certain things are impossible. You have allowed old disappointments to lower your expectations. You have allowed previous failures to shape your identity. But I want you to lift your eyes higher. You are not who fear says you are. You are not who shame says you are. You are not who your worst mistakes say you are. You are my beloved child. And because that is true, your story is not limited to what has already happened. There are still chapters left to write. There are still lessons left to learn. There are still blessings left to receive. There are still opportunities left to discover. There are still dreams left to awaken. And there are still victories left to experience. The invitation I asked you to open has never been about returning to the past. It has always been about moving forward. Forward into healing. Forward into purpose. Forward into trust. Forward into freedom. Forward into the future I am helping prepare. My beloved child, whenever old memories try to convince you that nothing can change, remember this: a seed is not defined by the darkness of the soil. A sunrise is not defined by the night that came before it. A new chapter is not defined by the pages already turned. And your future is not defined by your past. The lessons can remain. The wisdom can remain. The growth can remain. But the chains must go. Because I am not leading you backward. I am leading you forward. And as you continue walking with me, you will discover that some of the very things you once thought would permanently limit your life will become powerful reminders of how far my grace, my love, and my restoration have carried you. For your story is still being written, and the best chapters have not been left behind. They are waiting ahead. My beloved child, after understanding that your future is not defined by your past, I want to bring you to a place where many of my children struggle to remain. It is a place that seems simple, yet it requires deep trust. It is the place between the promise and the fulfillment. It is the place called waiting. Waiting is one of the greatest tests of the human heart. Not because waiting is punishment. Not because waiting means I have forgotten you. But because waiting reveals what you believe about me when you cannot yet see the outcome. Many people find it easy to trust when everything is moving quickly. Faith feels natural when answers arrive immediately. Hope feels strong when doors open without delay. But what happens when the answer takes longer than expected? What happens when the door remains closed for a season? What happens when the prayer continues rising from your heart day after day? That is where trust begins to deepen. There is a difference between waiting and being abandoned. Yet fear often tries to make them feel the same. Fear whispers, "Nothing is happening." Fear says, "You have been overlooked." Fear says, "The answer will never come." But my beloved child, waiting and abandonment are not the same thing. A seed waiting beneath the soil has not been abandoned. A sunrise waiting below the horizon has not been abandoned. A masterpiece waiting on the artist's canvas has not been abandoned. And neither have you. There is a story about a young woman who planted a bamboo seed. She watered it faithfully every day. Weeks passed, and nothing appeared. Months passed, and still nothing appeared. A year passed, then another. The ground remained unchanged. Many people laughed at her dedication. They questioned why she continued watering soil that showed no visible results. Yet she remained faithful. Then one day, something remarkable happened. A small shoot emerged from the ground. Soon after, it began growing rapidly. What seemed inactive for years suddenly surged upward, with incredible speed. What the observers did not realize was that during those hidden years, an extensive root system had been developing beneath the surface. The growth they admired was only possible because of the preparation they never saw. My beloved child, there are seasons when your life feels like that bamboo seed. You continue believing. You continue praying. You continue trusting. Yet visible results seem slow. And because you cannot see what is happening beneath the surface, discouragement tries to enter your heart. But I want you to remember something. Just because growth is hidden does not mean growth is absent. Some of the most important developments in your life occur where human eyes cannot see. Character is formed. Wisdom is gained. Faith grows deeper. Patience becomes stronger. Trust matures. And these things are often developed during waiting seasons. The world teaches people to value speed. Everything must happen quickly. Answers must arrive immediately. Results must appear instantly. But I am often more interested in depth than speed. A tree that grows too quickly without strong roots becomes vulnerable when storms arrive. A house built too quickly without a proper foundation cannot endure pressure, and a life that receives blessings without preparation often struggles to sustain them. That is why waiting can be a gift, even when it feels uncomfortable. Waiting creates roots. Waiting develops endurance. Waiting strengthens trust. Waiting teaches you to depend upon me rather than circumstances. My beloved child, I know waiting can feel lonely at times. You wonder how much longer. You wonder when the answer will come. You wonder whether the promise is still alive. You wonder whether your prayers are still being heard. And in those moments, I want you to remember this. I am present in the waiting. I am not standing only at the destination. I am walking with you through the journey. I am present on the ordinary days. I am present during the unanswered questions. I am present in the quiet seasons. I am present when progress seems slow. You do not have to wait alone. The invitation I ask you to open was never meant to reveal instant solutions for every challenge. It was meant to reveal my heart, and my heart remains faithful. Faithful during the storm. Faithful during the silence. Faithful during the delay. Faithful during the waiting. There will come a day when many things become clearer. You will understand why certain doors remained closed. You will see why certain delays were necessary. You will recognize how preparation was taking place during seasons that seemed empty. And you will realize that what felt like inactivity was actually part of a greater design. Until then, my beloved child, do not lose heart. Keep watering the seed. Keep trusting the process. Keep taking the next step. Keep believing that I am working even when you cannot see the evidence. For the same God who plants the seed is also the God who brings the harvest. The same God who begins the journey is also the God who guides it to completion. And the same loving Father who has walked with you through every chapter so far will continue walking with you until every purpose, every lesson, and every blessing prepared for your life unfolds in its proper time. My beloved child, after walking with me through lessons about waiting, trust, healing, and purpose, I want to bring your attention to something that has been quietly growing within you this entire time. It is something more powerful than fear, stronger than disappointment, more enduring than circumstances. I am speaking about hope. Hope is one of the greatest gifts I place within the human heart. Yet many people misunderstand it. They think hope is merely wishful thinking. They believe hope is pretending difficulties do not exist. They imagine hope means ignoring reality. But true hope is much deeper than that. Hope does not deny reality. Hope simply refuses to believe that reality has the final word. Hope can stand in the middle of a storm and still expect the sun to rise again. Hope can walk through a valley and still believe there is a path forward. Hope can experience disappointment and still remain open to future joy. That is why hope is so valuable. It keeps the heart moving forward when circumstances try to pull it backward. Here is a story about a lighthouse standing on a rocky coastline. Year after year, storms crashed against the shore. Massive waves struck the cliffs. Fierce winds battered the structure. From a distance, it appeared impossible for the lighthouse to endure. Yet every night, the light continued shining. Sailors crossing dangerous waters depended upon that light. When storms arrived, the light became even more important. One day, a young sailor asked the lighthouse keeper, "How does the light continue shining through so many storms?" The keeper smiled and replied, "Because the purpose of the light is not to shine only on clear days. Its purpose is to shine when darkness comes." My beloved child, hope is like that lighthouse. Anyone can feel hopeful when everything is easy. Anyone can feel hopeful when every prayer is answered immediately. Anyone can feel hopeful when the path ahead is clear. But hope reveals its true strength during difficult seasons. Hope shines when circumstances become uncertain. Hope shines when answers seem delayed. Hope shines when fear tries to convince you to give up. And I have placed that hope within you. There have been moments when you thought hope had disappeared. Moments when disappointment felt overwhelm you. Moments when you questioned whether things would ever improve. Yet somehow a small spark remained. A quiet belief that things could still change. A gentle expectation that better days might still come. A deep sense that your story was not over. My beloved child, that spark matters. Do not underestimate it. Many great journeys have continued because of a single spark of hope. Many lives have been transformed because someone refused to surrender that spark. Many miracles begin with a heart that chooses hope even before evidence appears. Think about a gardener planting seeds. When the seeds disappear beneath the soil, there is no visible proof of future flowers. Yet the gardener continues watering. Why? Because hope allows the gardener to believe in a harvest before it appears. Hope sees possibilities hidden within the soil. In the same way, I want you to continue nurturing hope within your heart. Not because every challenge will vanish overnight. Not because every answer will arrive immediately. But because I am still working. Because your story is still unfolding. Because your future remains filled with possibilities. One of fear's greatest goals is to convince you that nothing will ever change. Fear loves permanence. Fear says, this pain will last forever. Fear says, this struggle will never end. Fear says you have already seen your best days. But fear is a poor prophet. Fear speaks from limitation. I speak from possibility. Fear focuses on what is visible today. I see what is still developing tomorrow. Fear sees the closed door. I see the door that has not opened yet. Fear sees the delay. I see the preparation happening within it. Fear sees the darkness. I see the approaching dawn. That is why I continually call you back to hope. Hope keeps your heart open. Hope keeps your eyes lifted. Hope keeps your spirit moving forward. Hope reminds you that present circumstances are not permanent conclusions. My beloved child, some of the greatest blessings I have prepared for you are still ahead. Some of the most meaningful lessons are still ahead. Some of the deepest joys are still ahead. Some of the most beautiful chapters of your story are still waiting to be written. Do not allow temporary difficulties to convince you otherwise. The lighthouse does not stop shining because the storm arrives. The gardener does not stop watering because the seed is hidden. And you must not stop hoping simply because the answer has not appeared yet. Continue believing. Continue trusting. Continue expecting good things. Not because life is always easy, but because I am always faithful. For hope is not rooted in circumstances. Hope is rooted in me. And as long as I remain with you, there will always be a reason to lift your eyes, strengthen your heart, and continue moving forward. Because the story I am writing in your life is not a story of defeat. It is a story of growth, restoration, purpose, and hope that will continue shining long after today's challenges have passed away. My beloved child, as we draw closer to the deeper treasures hidden within this gift I have asked you to open, I want to reveal what many people overlook. They search for peace, they seek healing, they desire purpose, they pray for strength, and they look for hope. All of these are precious gifts, yet beneath them lies something even more foundational. There is a treasure hidden beneath the surface of every lesson we have shared. The treasure is trust. Trust is the quiet bridge between where you are and where I am leading you. Trust is what allows peace to remain when circumstances become uncertain. Trust is what allows hope to survive during waiting seasons. Trust is what allows healing to continue even when progress feels slow. Trust is what allows you to take the next step when the entire path is not yet visible. My beloved child, every journey of growth eventually arrives at this place. The place where knowledge is no longer enough. The place where understanding is incomplete. The place where certainty is unavailable. And in that place, trust becomes the key that unlocks the next door. Many people believe trust grows when all questions are answered. But true trust often grows while questions remain. Anyone can trust when every detail is visible. Anyone can trust when outcomes are guaranteed. Anyone can trust when the road ahead is perfectly clear. But trust becomes powerful when it continues moving forward despite uncertainty. There is a story about a young child learning to cross a stream. The water was shallow, but the stones beneath the surface were slippery. The child stood at the edge, afraid to take the first step. Beside the child stood a loving father. The father extended his hand and said, "Come." The child looked at the water, then at the stones, then at the distance ahead. Fear filled the child's mind. What if I slip? What if I fall? What if I cannot make it? The father listened patiently. Then he gently replied, "You are focused on the stream. I am asking you to focus on my hand." The child hesitated for a moment longer, then reached out. Step by step, they crossed together. Later, the child realized something important. Safety had not come from understanding every stone beneath the water. Safety had come from trusting the hand that guided them. My beloved child, there are times when you become focused on the stream. You focus on uncertainty. You focus on possible outcomes. You focus on unanswered questions. You focus on things you cannot control. And because your attention remains fixed on those things, fear begins to grow. But I continually invite you to look toward my hand. Not because the stream is imaginary. Not because the challenges are unreal. But because my guidance is greater than the uncertainty before you. Trust does not mean pretending difficulties do not exist. Trust means believing that difficulties are not greater than my ability to guide you through them. Trust means believing that even when you do not understand the process, I still understand it. Trust means believing that my love remains steady even when circumstances change. Trust means believing that my plans for your life are not threatened by temporary setbacks. Many people spend years trying to control every outcome because they believe control will create peace. But control is a fragile foundation. There will always be things beyond your ability to manage. There will always be unknowns. There will always be variables you cannot predict. That is why peace is not found in control. Peace is found in trust. Think about the river we spoke of earlier. A person standing beside the river can constantly worry about where the water is flowing, where they can trust the source that keeps it moving. The river does not pause every moment to question its direction. It flows, and because it flows, it fulfills its purpose. My beloved child, there are seasons when I ask you to do the same. Not to abandon wisdom, not to ignore responsibility, but to release the need to control every detail. To trust that I am capable of carrying responsibilities larger than your understanding. To trust that I see beyond today's circumstances. To trust that my timing remains good even when it feels slow. To trust that my love remains present even when emotions fluctuate. This hidden treasure of trust is not built in a single day. It grows through experience. It grows through prayer. It grows through every season where you discover that I remain faithful once again. And if you look back carefully, you will notice something. I have carried you through challenges before. I have guided you through uncertainty before. I have brought peace during difficult seasons before. I have provided strength when you thought you had none left. A history matters. Those experiences matter. They are reminders that my faithfulness is not merely a promise. It is a reality already woven throughout your story. So now, my beloved child, I invite you to open this final layer of the gift, the layer called trust. For when trust takes root within your heart, fear begins to lose its influence. Worry begins to loosen its grip. Peace grows stronger. Hope grows brighter. And you discover that the safest place you can be is not a place where every question is answered, but a place where your hand remains securely held in mine. My beloved child, we have traveled a long journey together. Step by step, layer by layer, you have been opening the gift I asked you to open. What began as a mysterious invitation has slowly revealed treasures hidden beneath the surface. And now, as we stand near the end of this journey, I want you to understand why I asked you to open it in the first place. There was a reason behind every lesson, a reason behind every story, a reason behind every treasure I placed before you. From the beginning, my desire was never simply to give you information. My desire was transformation. I wanted you to see what fear had been hiding from you. I wanted you to discover what had been waiting for you all along. When we began this journey, you may have been carrying burdens you did not fully recognize. Burdens of disappointment, burdens of regret, burdens of fear, burdens of uncertainty. You had become so accustomed to carrying them that they felt normal. Yet I knew those burdens were never meant to define your life. That is why I invited you to open this gift, not to add more weight to your shoulders, but to remove weight from them. Along the way, you discovered that I had seen every silent battle you fought. You learned that nothing about your story had escaped my attention. You learned that the burdens you carried did not have to remain with you forever. You learned that fear often stood before doors leading to peace, healing, and growth. You learned that what you thought disqualified you never disqualified you in my eyes. You learned that new vision becomes possible when hope begins replacing fear. You discovered the treasure of peace. You discovered healing. You discovered purpose. You discovered strength. You discovered hope. And perhaps most importantly, you discovered trust. Each treasure was connected. Each lesson built upon the one before it. Each step brought you closer to understanding something deeper. There is a story about a traveler who spent years searching for treasure. He crossed mountains, explored valleys, and journeyed through distant lands. He believed that somewhere far away, hidden beyond the horizon, he would finally find what he was looking for. Years passed. The search continued. Then one day, an elderly guide gave him a simple map. The traveler followed the map with great excitement. To his surprise, it led him back to the place where his journey had begun. Confused, he searched the area carefully. There, hidden beneath the floor of his own home, he discovered the treasure. For years he had searched in distant places for something that had been near him all along. My beloved child, many people live like the traveler. They search endlessly for peace. They search endlessly for worth. They search endlessly for purpose. They search endlessly for security. They search endlessly for hope. Yet the deeper treasure has never been found in distant places. The deeper treasure has always been found in relationship with me. That is why I asked you to open this gift. Not because I wanted to show you how strong you are, but because I wanted to show you how deeply loved you are. Not because I wanted you to trust yourself more, but because I wanted you to trust my heart more. Not because I wanted you to become fearless, but because I wanted you to discover that my presence is greater than your fears. As you look back over everything we have shared, I want you to notice something. You are not standing in the same place where you began. The circumstances around you may not have changed completely. Some questions may still remain unanswered. Some dreams may still be developing. Some prayers may still be unfolding. But something within you has changed. Your perspective has changed. Your understanding has changed. Your awareness of my love has deepened. And that matters, because transformation often begins within before it becomes visible around you. My beloved child, now you understand why I asked. I asked because I wanted you to remember who you are. I asked because I wanted you to release what was weighing you down. I asked because I wanted you to see your life through the eyes of hope. I asked because I wanted you to discover that you were never alone. I asked because I wanted you to trust me. And I asked because I wanted you to open your heart to a love that has been reaching for you since the very beginning. The treasures you found were never random gifts scattered along a path. They were reflections of my heart toward you. Peace reflected my care. Healing reflected my compassion. Strength reflected my support. Purpose reflected my design. Hope reflected my promises. And trust reflected the relationship I have always desired with you. So now, my beloved child, as we prepare to take the final step together, carry these treasures with you. Let them guide your thoughts, strengthen your heart, and shape your future. For the gift I asked you to open was never simply about what was inside it. It was about helping you discover the truth that has surrounded you all along. You are loved, you are known, and you are held securely in my hands. My beloved child, we have finally arrived at the end of this journey, yet what I have been showing you was never meant to end here. These words were not simply a message to hear and then forget. They were an invitation to open something that has been waiting for you all along. When I first called to you and said, "My child, I want you to open this," you may have wondered what was inside. You may have expected answers, solutions, or instructions. Yet what I ultimately wanted you to open was your heart. I wanted you to open your heart to my peace. I wanted you to open your heart to my healing. I wanted you to open your heart to my love. I wanted you to open your heart to the truth that you are not forgotten, not abandoned, not disqualified, and not alone. Throughout this journey, I have reminded you that I saw every tear. I heard every prayer. I understood every fear. I walked beside you through every valley. Even during moments when you could not feel my presence, my hand remained upon your life. You learned that fear does not have to lead you. You learned that your past does not define you. You learned that waiting is not wasting. You learned that healing is possible. You learned that purpose is still unfolding. You learned that hope is stronger than despair. And above all, you learn that trust opens doors that fear tries to keep closed. My beloved child, there will still be days when challenges appear. There will still be moments when questions arise. There will still be seasons when the road ahead seems unclear. But now you carry something you did not carry before. You carry the knowledge that I am with you. You carry the reminder that my love remains constant. You carry the confidence that I am working even when you cannot see it. You carry the truth that the river of my grace never runs dry. So when fear returns, remember my peace. When disappointment appears, remember my promises. When uncertainty knocks at your door, remember my faithfulness. When you feel weak, remember my strength. And when you wonder whether you can take the next step, remember that my hand is still reaching toward yours. My beloved child, If this message has touched your heart and helped you open the door to my peace, then know that there are countless other hearts still standing before closed doors. There are people searching for hope, healing, and reassurance who need to hear that they are loved by me. Every super thanks, every membership, and every PayPal gift becomes a seed planted into fertile soil, helping this light reach souls who are waiting for their own moment of breakthrough. I tell you that when a seed is sown in faith, a harvest follows, and your generosity becomes part of a greater work that stretches far beyond what your eyes can see. Hear my living promise. I am able to multiply what is placed into my hands and use it to bring hope where darkness once lived. My child, if I am stirring your heart right now, do not ignore that invitation. The PayPal donation links are available in the video description, and the PayPal QR code is also provided within the video for those who wish to give. As you support this mission, may rivers of blessing, strength, provision, and peace flow back into your life. May every gift become a testimony that light still shines, that hope still rises, and that my word continues reaching those who need it most. This is not merely support for a channel. It is participation in a harvest of encouragement, healing, and restoration. Open your hand, sow your seed, and help carry this message to the next heart waiting to hear my voice. And now, my beloved child, take everything you have received and carry it with you. Walk forward with peace. Walk forward with hope. Walk forward with trust. Walk forward knowing that my love surrounds you today, tomorrow, and always. I am with you in every season. I am with you in every step. I am with you in every chapter still to come. And I always will be. Amen.